Chapter 108. Shang Junlin was not annoyed at being exposed. Instead, he lifted Shan Yu's chin and said, "Your Highness's authentic works should naturally be in my hands. What does you think?" "Your Highness is right," Shan Yu said with a smile. "What about the ones I wrote for Jiang Huiqing? Does your Highness want to keep them in your hands too?" Shang Junlin thought about it seriously. In fact, he wanted to keep them, but those were written for other people. They were different from the script. Seeing Shang Junlin thinking seriously, Shan Yu was overjoyed. "Your Highness, you don't really want to keep those letters for yourself, do you? You wrote so many letters to him, but he never wrote to me even once." Shang Junlin was dissatisfied. He also wanted Shan Yu's handwritten letters. "Your Highness is very busy every day. Don't you feel tired of reading the memorials and letters?" If he was the one dealing with these matters, Shan Yu would not want to read these things in his free time at all. "Can you write the same as them? I'm willing to read any amount." Shang Junlin's eyes were deep. Then Shan Yu dragged out the last word. "What does your Highness want me to write? A love poem? A personal note? Or something else?" Shang Junlin replied reservedly, "I'm fine with anything." He wanted everything. Shan Yu smiled and glanced at him. "I'll remember it. I'll write it for your Highness. Your Highness, you can wait patiently." Since he had agreed, Shan Yu began to think about what to write for Shang Junlin. Shang Junlin got the answer he wanted. He was much more efficient in approving memorials. Gue Jun, the small theater, sent a message saying that the play has been arranged. "They want you to take a look." Mu Shi walked in from outside and said, "Shan Yu was writing a letter." On the table, there was a pink letter paper. On the paper, there were peach blossoms. It was sent to the palace by Boss Yi last time. Together with it, there was a light blue and light green. According to Boss Yi, these letters sold very well and were very popular with the young masters and young ladies of aristocratic families. Even if the price was expensive, they could still be sold out quickly. Pink was suitable for expressing one's feelings. It was best used to write a letter to one's sweetheart to express one's yearning. If one was shy, light blue could be used instead. Shang Junlin specifically asked for pink paper, so Shan Yu asked Mu Shi to take out the pink paper from the storeroom. She planned to write a piece of pink paper first. The tip of the brush dipped in ink, and a beautiful hairpin-style small regular script appeared vividly on the paper. After finishing the last stroke, Shan Yu put away the brush and said, "Go and tell them that His Majesty and I will be there this evening." "Yes, this servant will take her leave." After Mu Shi left, Shan Yu looked at the pink letter on the table and couldn't help but smile. Who would have thought that the decisive His Majesty would ask for a small letter in private? When the ink on the paper was dry, Shan Yu put the letter away and put it in the envelope prepared in advance. The envelope was also sent by Boss Yi. The seal was printed with peach blossoms so that people could see what the content of the letter would be at a glance. The effect of medical alcohol had been verified. How to produce alcohol on a large scale became a big problem. Shan Yu's method was still too inefficient. The Imperial Institute of Medicine had now obtained the method to produce alcohol. They also asked for several sets of glass equipment from the palace and made several spare rooms for the production of medical alcohol. In order to avoid confusion with alcohol, they were thinking about a new name for medical alcohol. Alcohol concentration is too high to drink directly. It will be life-threatening. Could it be that those who were poisoned by alcohol in the past were poisoned because they drank too high of alcohol concentration? Was it because someone poisoned them or they ate something that was harmful to them? Over the years, deaths caused by drinking were not rare. Countless doctors had studied this problem, but they still couldn't find a solution. After investigation, they found that these people who died had almost nothing in common except drinking. It's not impossible. The person who sent the alcohol from the palace also repeatedly warned that the alcohol produced by this method should not be drunk. If it wants to have an effect on the wound, it must be mixed accurately. Otherwise, not only will it not reduce the wound infection, but it will also cause secondary damage to the wound. The Imperial Institute of Medicine's envoy, Imperial Dr. Wu, emphasized again, Remember, it must be made strictly according to the ratio. Yes. Gu Cheng, come with me. Imperial Dr. Wu was old and had planned to retire. Imperial Dr. Gu was the junior he thought highly of. Although he was still young, his medical skills were brilliant and he was steady in doing things. He was the most promising successor. He also vaguely expressed his opinion to His Majesty. He knew that, in terms of qualifications, Imperial Dr. Gu was not as good as the other two, but in terms of other things, Imperial Dr. Gu was the most suitable. I called you out to tell you that I will be retiring at the end of this year at the latest. I have recommended you to His Majesty to take over the position of envoy. You must perform well during this time. Imperial Dr. Wu patted Imperial Dr. Gu's shoulder. This. Imperial Dr. Gu was stunned for a moment. There are many more people in the Imperial Institute of Medicine who are more qualified than me. Why would you recommend me? I believe in your medical skills and I believe in your character. I also know that you are young and it will be difficult for you to control the people below. Don't worry, I will arrange everything. Since you have taken care of His Majesty's health, His Majesty will not make things difficult for you. Before making this decision, Imperial Dr. Wu had thought about it for a long time. In the end, he made this seemingly irrational decision. He could feel that the Imperial Institute of Medicine was going through some changes in the Great Huan Kingdom. At this time, the person in charge was especially important. If it was any other time, it would be fine for the person in charge to be mediocre. But in the vortex of change, mediocrity would become the original sin. The two people who were talking didn't notice that someone was quietly following them and listening to their conversation. Imperial Dr. Sun hid behind a pillar, his face extremely ugly. Last time, he took Imperial Dr. Gu's position to treat Prince Huayu. He thought that by saving the prince's life, he could at least get something. Who would have thought that not long after, Prince Huayu was condemned by the imperial court? Not to mention a reward, it would be good if he wasn't implicated. After that incident, he hid like a quail for a period of time. Seeing that Imperial Dr. Gu was getting more and more powerful, he couldn't sit still anymore. When Imperial Dr. Wu asked Imperial Dr. Gu out alone, he knew something would happen, so he quietly followed. He never thought that he would let himself hear such a conversation. He entered the Imperial Institute of Medicine earlier than Imperial Dr. Gu and his medical skills were not inferior. Why did Imperial Dr. Wu pass the position to someone who wasn't qualified? And he even tried his best to pave the way for him. Was it just because Imperial Dr. Gu took care of His Majesty's health? Imperial Dr. Sun glared in Imperial Dr. Gu's direction. He waited until the two finished talking and left before coming out from behind the pillar. He wouldn't let it go just like that. That position, anyone could sit, except for Imperial Dr. Gu. In the evening, Shan Yu and Shang Junlin arrived at the small opera house together. When they heard that His Majesty the Emperor was coming with His Majesty the Emperor, the people in the opera troupe were very nervous. They still remembered that when His Majesty first came, he had a cold aura that made people not dare to look directly at him. Be careful. This time, we are going to show His Majesty the Emperor if there is anything that needs to be changed. In a few days, you will have to face the people of the entire capital. The troop leader inspected carefully, trying to make sure that there were no mistakes. I think that facing His Majesty is more terrifying than facing the people of the entire capital. A young man muttered softly. The others nodded in agreement. Of course, they would rather face a group of people below the stage. After all, that was a scene that they were familiar with. But I'm still very happy to be able to perform for His Majesty. Since that time, His Majesty has only summoned the troop leader to meet him alone. I'm so envious of the troop leader. The troop leader had already walked to their side. The others were silent, and the young man who just spoke also hurriedly lowered his head. The troop leader wanted to ease the atmosphere and said, "If you have to face His Majesty's oppressive gaze when meeting His Majesty, would you still be willing?" It turned out that not only would they have to meet His Majesty, they would also have to meet His Majesty. The young men widened their eyes as if to say, "Troop leader, you're so pitiful." The troop leader's mouth twitched. "All right, hurry up and get ready." His Majesty will be here soon. Because Shang Junlin was jealous, Shan Yu didn't come to the small theater anymore. Every time he wanted to come, he would be stopped by Shang Junlin for various reasons. If it happened once or twice, it could be said that it was a coincidence. However, after 4 or 5 times, Shan Yu understood that Shang Junlin was doing it on purpose. If their performance doesn't meet my requirements, how does your Majesty plan to compensate me? That's their problem. Why are you blaming me? Your Majesty, you really don't know? Shan Yu poked his arm. Who was the one who found all kinds of reasons to not let me come to the small theater to see the progress? I've already given such detailed instructions, but they still can't perform. You might as well directly replace them. Your Majesty, you can't say that. The performance this time is not the same as the previous ones. It's normal that they can't grasp some parts. Later, in order to take care of Shang Junlin's emotions, Shan Yu called the troop leader to the main hall for questioning. Fortunately, the troop leader was a smart person. He knew the purpose of Shan Yu's arrangement. Not only did he perfectly implement Shan Yu's ideas, but he also made a lot of useful suggestions. After all, Shan Yu was a layman. His understanding of this aspect was not as good as that of the troop leader, who grew up in primary school. After improvement, the performance of this play would be better. Your Majesty has arrived. Your Majesty. The troop knelt down and saluted. No need to be so courteous. Today, I came with your Majesty just to be the first to see this play. Shang Junlin sat down with Shan Yu. Let Mu Shi and eunuch Meng sit at the back and watch. Shan Yu glanced at the palace servants standing at the side. They sat in the middle of the front row with the best view. There were many empty seats behind them. Shan Yu glanced at them and simply let the troop members sit at the back. At the beginning, there was a cheerful piece of music. The beginning of the story was also cheerful. Gradually, the music became sad. The 2 childhood sweethearts had to separate. One went to the north to join the army, and the other stayed in her hometown. In the blink of an eye, a few years had passed. Natural disasters came and starved people were everywhere. The woman who stayed in her hometown made a lot of money in the business world. Thinking of her lover who was far away in the disaster area, she decided to do something. The imperial court's relief food was embezzled by the corrupt officials. They organized people to donate money and food. More and more people joined the team. The imperial court also sent new officials to punish the corrupt officials. These life-saving supplies were gathered by the people little by little to the disaster area. In the end, the evil people were punished. The woman and her lover hugged each other tightly after the disaster passed. Everyone was happy. Shan Yu stood up and clapped his hands. Not bad, this is very good. On the stage, the man in pink who played the role of the woman heard these words and his eyes lit up. Shan Yu turned to look at the palace servants and the other members of the troupe. Everyone's face was full of excitement. Obviously, their emotions had been completely stirred up. This was the effect that Shan Yu wanted. The play didn't need to be obscure or elegant. The most important thing was that it could make the audience feel immersed. They couldn't help but think. What should they do in such a situation? What could they do? Now that there was a drought in the north, could they also do something? Could she also be like the woman in the play and do her part? No matter how small a person's strength is, when gathered together, it is an unshakable force. Shang Junlin understood this principle very well. Yes, some people will always ignore that many little things make a mickle. People who are too arrogant will fall sooner or later. Shan Yu discussed some details with the troop leader and returned to the bedroom with Shang Junlin. Did you notice that the man in pink has been moving closer to you? Shang Junlin approached Shan Yu from behind. No. Shan Yu's mind was on the play. He didn't have time to pay attention to these things. Pleased by Shan Yu's answer, Shang Junlin laughed in a low voice. Shan Yu's ears were numb from his laughter. Didn't His Majesty want me to write a letter to you? I've written it. Shan Yu walked to the secret compartment and took out the envelope. I've written 23 letters to Jiang Huiqing. I've written twice to His Majesty. This is the first letter. Does His Majesty want to see it? Chapter 109. Shang Junlin reached out his hand. I use good intentions, I will not disappoint you. Your Majesty can think that way. Shen Yu looked at him with a faint smile and put the letter in his big palm. Shang Junlin didn't open the letter in front of Shen Yu, but put it in his arms. Your Majesty, don't you want to see what I wrote? As long as it's written by a you, I will like it. Shen Yu saw that he really didn't want to open the letter immediately, so he didn't force him. In fact, he was quite curious about Shen Yu's reaction when he read the letter. At night, after Shen Yu fell asleep, Shang Junlin looked at the sleeping face of the person in his arms with tenderness in his eyes. Under the soft candlelight, the young man's facial features were delicate, and there was a faint blush on his white skin. Shang Junlin knew how beautiful the young man's cheeks were when they were dyed red. The young man's eyelashes were very long, and they drooped down quietly, like a resting butterfly. Shang Junlin had lived in the palace since he was a child, so he had seen countless beauties. When he first ascended the throne, there were many who dared to approach him because of their beauty. He only felt disgusted when these people touched him. No matter how beautiful they were no different from ordinary people in his eyes, until he met Shen Yu. For the first time, he had a strong desire to touch someone. For the first time, he wanted to hold someone in his arms. For the first time, he wanted to trap someone and not let them leave at all costs. Shen Yu now took the initiative to find a comfortable sleeping position in his arms, and he was also used to sleeping with the person in his arms. After confirming that Shen Yu was asleep, Shang Junlin sat up gently and took out the letter under his pillow. He opened the letter with half expectation and half apprehension, then slowly took out the pink letter and opened it. What came into view was a beautiful hairpin-style small regular script. Shang Junlin was stunned. He had seen Shen Yu's semi-cursive script, cursive script, and running regular script, but it was the first time he saw this kind of handwriting. What are you secretly looking at, Your Majesty? Shen Yu's voice sounded with a slight smile. Shang Junlin tilted his head and saw Shen Yu looking at him with a teasing look in his eyes. You hasn't slept yet? Shang Junlin blushed a little. If I slept, wouldn't I not be able to see Your Majesty secretly reading my letter in the middle of the night? Shen Yu propped herself up. Her long hair flowed down her shoulders like a waterfall. The young man's face appeared particularly gentle under the candlelight. Only his eyes were shockingly bright, like stars shining in the dark night sky. Shang Junlin turned his body slightly and covered Shen Yu's eyes with one hand. You wrote it. We like it very much. Shen Yu's eyes were covered, so he couldn't see the man's face that was getting redder and redder. He blinked, and his eyelashes fluttered like feathers across the man's palm. The numbness spread from her palm to her heart. It's good that Your Majesty likes it. Shen Yu was also very nervous when he wrote the letter. His literary talent seemed to have lost its effectiveness. In the end, he only left a few simple and straightforward sentences. A Yu's handwriting is very beautiful. It's as beautiful as a Yu's. Shang Junlin sighed softly. Shen Yu removed the hand covering his eyes, sat up, and faced Shang Junlin. I only use this handwriting when I write to Your Majesty. It was only displayed in front of one person, and only bloomed for one person. His eyes were full of sincerity. Some emotions were hidden in a very deep place, and were faintly revealed to the outside world. Shang Junlin's Adam's apple bobbed. He forcefully pulled Shen Yu into his arms. We're very happy, Yu. We'll never let you down. Shen Yu raised and lowered his hands. After a few times, he seemed to have made up his mind. He wrapped his arms around the man's waist. Your Majesty, you promised me. You can't go back on your words. How can we go back on our words? Shang Junlin lowered his head and kissed Shen Yu's hair. The faint fragrance lingered, and his entire heart calmed down. Shen Yu leaned on the man's shoulder and slowly closed his eyes. If it was Shang Junlin, he was willing to try again. Looking at his life, he was bumpy when he was young. After he became an adult, he had been deceived. Even after he died, he was told that his life was used to help others. Shan Yu was never willing to accept his fate easily. Therefore, when he knew that he was deceived in his previous life, he destroyed Prince Yu's dream of ascending the throne. In this life, he wouldn't let the ending in the book happen. If he could destroy the ending once, he could destroy it a second time. The only exception was Shang Junlin, the cruel and heartless tyrant in the book, who caused the people of Dahuan to live in misery, wasn't as the book said. On the contrary, he was diligent and loved the people. He also gave Shan Yu a sense of reality. On a day off, Imperial Dr. Sun brought a pot of good wine and visited a colleague. It was Imperial Dr. Chen, who had the same rank as Imperial Dr. Gu in the Imperial Hospital. Imperial Dr. Chen was a slightly fat middle-aged man. He looked very amiable. Because of his kind face, he was very popular. Originally, Imperial Dr. Wu was retiring, and Imperial Dr. Chen was supposed to be the new Imperial Doctor. "What brings Imperial Dr. Wu here? Please come in." Imperial Dr. Chen smiled before speaking. He was so polite that no one could find any fault with him. "Recently, I found a pot of good wine and specially brought it for you to taste." Imperial Dr. Sun raised his hand that was holding the wine pot. The smile on Imperial Dr. Chen's face deepened. He loved wine, but he couldn't drink when he was on duty in the Imperial Hospital. He could only drink a little during his break. When the two entered the room, Imperial Dr. Chen ordered the servants to serve wine and dishes. "If you don't mind, Imperial Dr. Sun can stay and drink a few cups with me." Imperial Dr. Sun came with a purpose, so he naturally wouldn't refuse, then it would be impolite for me to refuse. Imperial Dr. Chen asked the servants to set up a table in the small courtyard and sat down face to face with Imperial Dr. Sunday. After 3 rounds of wine, Imperial Dr. Sun was a little drunk. He thought about his purpose of coming here and said, "There is one thing, but I don't know if I should say it." "What is it?" "If it's convenient, you can say it. Maybe I can help you solve your problems. It's about the Imperial Hospital. You should know that Imperial Dr. Wu is retiring soon. There are only a few people who are qualified to be the next Imperial Doctor. If it was someone else, I wouldn't say anything, but I feel that it's not worth it for you." Imperial Dr. Sun was filled with righteous indignation. The smile on Imperial Dr. Chen's face disappeared. "Oh. In fact, everyone in the Imperial Hospital thinks that you are the most qualified to be the next Imperial Doctor. Whether it is qualifications or other things, if the one who sits in that position is you, no one will have any objections. But someone took a shortcut and used his relationship with the nobles in the palace to take your position." Imperial Dr. Sun drank a mouthful of wine. His words seemed to be defending Imperial Dr. Chen. The current Imperial Doctor is still Imperial Dr. Wu. It's not good to jump to conclusions about the future. Imperial Dr. Sun should be careful with your words. Imperial Dr. Chen put down the wine cup. Imperial Dr. Sun looked at Imperial Dr. Chen's face and felt that the other party was not very happy. He thought that his words had an effect, so he continued, "No matter what, the one who sits in that position should be someone like you. And don't think that I am talking nonsense. I can guarantee that everything I said is true." It was Imperial Dr. Wu who said it himself. Imperial Dr. Sun looked around and lowered his voice. "Then what do you want me to do?" Imperial Dr. Chen calmly asked. "At least, you can't let someone who is not worthy sit in that position." Imperial Dr. Sun stated his final goal. "I know. Imperial Dr. Sun is drunk. Come, help Imperial Dr. Sun to rest." The servants came over and helped Imperial Dr. Sun up. Ignoring his protests, they took him to the guest room. When Imperial Dr. Sun's figure disappeared, a young man came out of the corner. It was Imperial Dr. Gu. Imperial Dr. Gu's mood was very complicated. He knew that Imperial Dr. Sun had always been at odds with him, but he didn't think that the other would do such a thing to deal with him. If he really succeeded, the people of the Imperial Hospital would be divided and it would bring great trouble. It's good that teacher has good eyes and saw that this person has bad intentions. He told us to guard against him. I don't know who else he went to visit other than me. Imperial Dr. Chen looked with disgust in the direction that Imperial Dr. Sun left. I don't know how I provoked him. Imperial Dr. Gu grimaced. Since I entered the Imperial Hospital, I have been targeted everywhere. This is not your fault. The villain is used to being jealous of the virtuous. Imperial Dr. Chen patted his shoulder. Don't worry. Teacher has told us. We will help you in the future. There were several students of Imperial Dr. Wu in the Imperial Hospital. Imperial Dr. Chen was one of them. Imperial Dr. Wu knew the conduct of these students. Before he talked to Imperial Dr. Gu alone, he had talked with these students. Compared to fighting for power, his students preferred to study medicine. They didn't have any objections to their teacher's actions. You don't have to worry about Imperial Dr. Sunday. Teacher will take care of it. Thank you. Imperial Dr. Gu cupped his hands and thanked him. Because he was young, Imperial Dr. Wu took good care of him when he first entered the Imperial Hospital. Later, because he was indeed talented in medical skills, several of Imperial Dr. Wu's students gradually became good friends with him. If you want to thank us, why don't you take out your new medical book and discuss it with us? When I finish, I will ask for your advice. Imperial Dr. Sun didn't know that he thought he could provoke the conflict between the other Imperial doctors in the Imperial Hospital and Imperial Dr. Gu, but the first one to be dealt with was himself. By the way, have you seen the popular return to spring in the capital recently? It's your day off. Why don't you go and see it together? In addition to loving wine, Imperial Dr. Chen also liked to watch opera. This time, the people who watched the new opera were full of praise. Imperial Dr. Chen had been itching for a long time. Imperial Dr. Gu couldn't refuse and went with Imperial Dr. Chen. Shan Yu wanted to experience the feeling of sitting in the crowd and watching opera. He found a day when Shang Junlin wasn't busy and went out with him. There were many people in the opera. In order not to cause a sensation, Shan Yu and Shang Junlin disguised themselves. Shan Yu changed into a red robe this time. He was flamboyant like fire. His facial features were bright. Not only was his aura not suppressed by the red robe, but he was even more beautiful that people couldn't take their eyes off him. Shang Junlin looked at Shen Yu in a red robe. His eyes were full of unconcealable amazement and strong possessiveness. He didn't want others to see Shen Yu like this at all. She was about to tie Shen Yu's hair with a waterfall behind her head. Shang Junlin walked over. Give it to me. She handed the hair tie and ivory comb to Shang Junlin. Shang Junlin used one hand to tuck Shen Yu's long hair behind his back. The long black hair slid through his fingers. He held the ivory comb in his other hand and gently combed it. The ivory comb went into the black hair and smoothed it to the end. Shen Yu touched his hair behind his back. Your Majesty, do you know how to do it? Shang Junlin proved with his ability that not only did he know how to do it, but he also knew how to do it very well. The hair he combed was no worse than Mu Shi's. Shen Yu looked at himself in the bronze mirror and asked curiously, When did your Majesty learn how to comb people's hair? Mu Shi covered her mouth and laughed. She still remembered that not long ago, the high and mighty emperor clumsily learned how to comb people's hair. I learned it from your maid. How is my skill? Shang Junlin held the ivory comb and looked at him with a smile. Very good. Shan Yu's eyes were full of praise. I will comb a Yu's hair in the future, okay? Chapter 110. As long as your Majesty doesn't find it troublesome. Shan Yu looked at himself in the mirror again. The bronze mirror was polished until it was shiny, clearly reflecting the young man's appearance. With snow-white skin and black hair, he looked like an elegant young master in this chaotic world. How can it be troublesome to comb a Yu's hair? Shang Junlin walked over and lifted a strand of hair on his shoulder. He said in a half-joking tone, A Yu is so beautiful that I don't want others to see it. What should I do? Shen Yu always knew that his appearance wasn't bad. It wasn't the first time he had been praised for his appearance, but when Shang Junlin said it in a possessive tone, his heart still trembled. Then your Majesty must keep an eye on me so that I won't be snatched away by others. Shan Yu's lips curled up, his eyes mischievous. I won't give anyone a chance. You can't go anywhere except by my side. Thinking of the possibility of Shan Yu standing beside others, Shang Junlin's lips flattened. Shan Yu comforted him with ease. Your Majesty, don't worry. I won't go anywhere except by your Majesty's side. Shan Yu sat in front of the bronze mirror and painted his face. After a while, his eyebrows and eyes looked very different from before. His facial features were brighter and more flamboyant. If one looked closely, they could still see some similarities with his original appearance. Shang Junlin also changed his appearance and changed into a navy blue uniform. Shan Yu walked around him in a circle. Your Majesty also looks good in this color. Shang Junlin rarely wore colors other than black. Shan Yu was used to seeing him in black. Suddenly seeing him in another color gave him a sense of novelty. Shang Junlin's facial features were handsome, belonging to the kind of beauty that was very oppressive. The lines of his face were sharp. After the disguise, the original sharpness was neutralized, and it was no longer as unbearable as before. The blue uniform suppressed his aura, giving people a kind of illusion of gentleness. Although his face didn't change much, people wouldn't associate him with the emperor of the Great Huan dynasty. The two of them got into the carriage and left the palace. Shan Yu was also very familiar with this carriage. When he got on, he found that the place where he sat was covered with a soft blanket. Some time ago, Shan Yu felt that it was too hot, so he asked Shang Junlin to remove the blanket. Wait for this year's autumn hunt. I'll make a tiger pelt for you. Shang Junlin sat beside Shan Yu and rubbed his earlobe. Will His Majesty give me whatever I want? Shan Yu was looking out of the window, but when he heard the question, he turned around. As long as a Yu asks, we will do it for a Yu. Shang Junlin looked at him with determination. Shan Yu had no doubt that Shang Junlin could do what he said, but he was still stunned by the man's answer without hesitation. If His Majesty continues to spoil me like this, I will become arrogant. Shan Yu collected his thoughts and looked at Shang Junlin seriously. I give a Yu the right to be arrogant. The hand that was rubbing his earlobe changed to caressing his cheek. Shan Yu's eyes curved slightly. This is what His Majesty said. His Majesty, don't regret it in the future. Falling in love with a Yu, we will never regret it. The weather turned cold, and the number of people on the street suddenly increased. The carriages moved in an orderly manner on the street. When they arrived at the opera house, Shan Yu and Shang Junlin got off the carriage. There were people coming and going outside the opera house. People gathered in groups of 3 to 5, talking as they walked inside. The favorite concubine of a certain emperor of Dahuan loved to listen to opera. The emperor followed suit, and the opera industry of Dahuan developed greatly during that time. After a few generations, the favorite concubine and the emperor of Dahuan had become characters in the opera. The opera was also deeply rooted in the hearts of the people of Dahuan. The 100 Opera House was an old opera house that had been passed down for several generations. The best opera troupe in the opera house was specially for the nobles to enjoy. The other opera troupes performed for the common people. If they were favored by a certain influential person, they could also perform in the influential person's house. The first floor was the hall. Most of the common people would choose to listen to the opera here. The second floor was a private room separated by a partition. Each guest had a separate space. It was most suitable for influential people or tycoons to bring their family or friends here. Will the 2 guests be on the first floor or in a private room? The opera will start in a quarter of an hour. You 2 came at the right time. Otherwise, you will have to wait for a while. I want a private room on the second floor. Okay, please follow me. Shan Yu and Shang Junlin walked into the private room on the second floor. The space was not big, but the decoration was very delicate. There were some snacks on the table in the middle. Because there were only 2 of them, they asked for a private room for 2. Do the 2 of you need someone to wait on you? No need. A quarter of an hour later, the story of returning to spring officially started. Shan Yu and Shang Junlin sat together and watched. He was the one who wrote the skeleton of the opera. He knew the development of the story very well. What he saw more was the reaction of the audience below. They chose a very good position. Whether it was the stage below or the people who were listening to the opera, they could all see it. A Yu's opera is very well arranged, Shang Junlin said softly. Your Majesty, do you think there will be officials coming to watch? If Shan Yu remembered correctly, there were many officials in Dahuan who liked to watch operas. Yes. Look over there. That's the Minister of Revenue and the Minister of Works. Shang Junlin pointed in a direction. Shan Yu looked over. Sure enough, the Minister of Revenue and the Minister of Works were wearing casual clothes and sitting in the crowd on the first floor. Are they so close in private? They could even get together to watch operas. It turns out that they are not that close. Before the Ministry of Works could support itself, it was not an exaggeration to say that their relationship was like fire and water. Later, when a Yu proposed the idea of sponsorship, they became closer and closer, Shang Junlin explained. Could it be that their relationship is not good because the Ministry of Works has been asking the Ministry of Revenue for money? Shen Yu felt that it was a little inconceivable. From the looks of it, that is the case. Is there any progress from the Ministry of Works? Ever since the first cement road was paved, Shan Yu had not paid attention to the follow-up for a long time. The second road is almost finished. There will be results after a while. The Ministry of Works said that if this plan is feasible, they can gradually replace the roads in the capital with cement roads. They also discovered that cement can be used for construction. They used cement to build a small house, and it is said that it is very sturdy. Shan Yu was just asking. After hearing the reply, he no longer cared about this matter. There were so many people in the Ministry of Works. It was impossible that they could not handle this matter well. Shan Yu looked around and looked at the second floor. He saw a familiar face again. The Prime Minister is also here. He even brought along Zhang Huiqing, He Chengyu, and Feng Jiayi. In order to not attract attention, Feng Jiayi was dressed as a man. The Prime Minister thinks highly of He Chengyu and the other two. He even praised them in the memorial he presented yesterday. How could he not think highly of them? With the addition of these three people, the Prime Minister's daily workload could be reduced by more than half. The Prime Minister dreamed that one day, all the officials in Dahuan could be like these three people. He did not ask for anything else, but at least they should do their job well. As a result, many officials who had been promoted by the Prime Minister could not do their job well. They also stared at the power of others all day long. They could not do anything, and they always caused a mess for the Prime Minister to clean up. Sometimes, I feel that the Prime Minister went against the aristocratic families because he could not stand the style of these aristocratic family officials. Shang Junlin thought of some past events and could not help but laugh. The Prime Minister's family should not be low. It is not low. In the beginning, his relationship with the aristocratic family officials was not so bad. Otherwise, he would not have been able to enter the cabinet so easily. After becoming the Prime Minister, he had to clean up the mess made by the aristocratic families every few days. Over time, the relationship between the two sides became more and more strained. Shang Junlin was naturally happy to see this scene. The Prime Minister was listening to the play seriously. He originally did not plan to come. Even if it was a rest day, he still had a lot of things to deal with. It was Zhang Huiqing who suggested to him that he should properly relax after being busy. He thought about the countless days and nights he had been busy with official affairs and deeply felt that he should take a break. Therefore, he brought the three people to listen to Return to Spring. He often went in and out of the palace, so of course, he knew the real purpose of this play. He brought the three people out to test their political acumen. During the intermission, he poured himself a cup of tea and asked, "Do you have any thoughts after watching this play?" This play alludes to the incident in Subei, right? The embezzlement of disaster relief supplies just happens to match up with the robbery. The imperial court has always been discussing the matter of donations. Now that the common people know the significance of donations through the play, once the imperial court officially announces this policy, there will be no unwarranted suspicion. It was not just in the capital. There were also theaters in other places performing this play. Moreover, because the play itself was sufficiently attractive, more and more people came to watch. The Prime Minister nodded approvingly. This time, the imperial examination had finally picked out some good seedlings. He was secretly planning how to quickly nurture the three of them. With one more person to share the burden on his shoulders would be lighter. During the intermission, the common people below began to discuss. The corrupt officials are too much. There are so many soldiers and common people at the border who are still waiting for food to save their lives. They actually embezzled the food and money. That's right. With my bad temper, I want nothing more than to rush up and blow his head off. Lao Nyang and the others have already begun to prepare food. I hope they can make it in time. Otherwise, with the enemy at the border, the soldiers at the border won't even have food to eat. How will they protect the country? That's why they say the corrupt officials have no heart. They don't even think about it. If the enemy invades, even if they have so much money, what's the use? Say, if Lao Nyang can prepare food and send it to the border, can't we do the same? Subei is in a drought. Lord Fong was ordered to provide relief, but he was met with bandits. Right now, we don't know what the situation is over there. Can we do something for Subei? If we can successfully send the food to Subei, I'm willing to donate half of my family's food. Beyond Subei is the Northern Desert. The Northern Desert has been eyeing the Great Huan for a long time. If His Majesty hadn't beaten them until they were afraid, how could they have so easily stopped? It's only been a few years since the Great Huan has been peaceful. If something happens to Subei, the Northern Desert will definitely make a comeback. We can't let the Northern Desert have a chance to invade the South. Just like Lao Nyang said, to protect the country, everyone should do their part. Moreover, many little drops make an ocean. Although our abilities are limited, what if we have 100, 1,000, or 10,000 people? We can at least make a difference. That's right. Does anyone know anyone from the government? Can we express our views to the imperial court? The discussion below became more and more heated. Shan Yu picked up the teacup and took a sip. The corners of his mouth curved slightly. He had already achieved half of his goal. Did you rehearse for this scene in the beginning? Shang Junlin also heard the discussion and a complicated look flashed through his eyes. Your Majesty, what I want is not an order from the imperial court, but an opportunity for the people to fight for themselves. How lucky I am to have Yu's help. Shang Junlin hugged Shen Yu and planted a light kiss on the side of his face. Chapter 111. As a king, Shang Junlin certainly knew the difference between the two. I originally thought that you arranged this play just to make the people more accepting of the donations. I didn't expect that there was a deeper meaning. You asked me to delay the time, so you were waiting for this opportunity. Shan Yu nodded. I always feel that those people have a backup plan. They stole a batch of supplies, so they definitely won't watch us collect enough supplies to send to Subei again. Shang Junlin, what I'm most worried about is that the people from the Northern Desert have infiltrated the officials of Subei. According to the news from the hidden dragon guards, they haven't found any traces of the people from the Northern Desert. Shan Yu, the Northern Desert is undoubtedly the most beneficial to the disaster in Subei. Without the threat of the Northern Army, Subei is undoubtedly in the bag for the Northern Desert. Your Majesty thinks that it's not strange that the people from the Northern Desert are involved, but I'm more inclined to think that it's done by someone in Dahuan. Your Majesty, don't forget that the King of Yu is still in the secret prison. Shang Junlin, Yu suspects that it's the people behind the King of Yu? Shen Yu, if the King of Yu wants that position, food, gold, and silver are all indispensable. Your Majesty, did you send people to the King of Yu's fief? The King of Yu had been detained in the capital for so long, but there was no movement in his fief. This was an abnormal thing. Your Majesty can use the donation as an excuse to investigate the King of Yu's fief. After a cup of tea's time, the second half of the play continued. The discussion below slowly disappeared, and everyone's attention turned back to the play. On the other side, in a private room. Noticing that Imperial Physician Gu was obviously not in the right state, Imperial Physician Qian poured a cup of tea for him. What are you thinking about? I seem to have seen an acquaintance just now. Imperial Physician Gu paused for a moment and took the teacup. I don't know if I'm mistaken. Is it your good friend? Why don't you invite them over for a chat? Imperial Physician Gu shook his head. No need, I think they don't want to be disturbed. Seeing this, Imperial Physician Qian didn't say anything more. After the play ended, there was a thunderous applause below the stage. This ending is really satisfying. Corrupt officials should be beheaded in public like this. Chong Nyang has finally reunited with her lover after going through untold hardships. I am satisfied that our lovers have finally gotten married. Mother Chang's efforts were not in vain. The wicked were punished, and the good were rewarded. The disaster was resolved in time, and the enemies who wanted to take advantage of the situation were defeated. How satisfying! There were both men and women who came to watch the show. Both sides focused on different things, but no matter which side, they were all very satisfied with the ending. Shan Yu and Shang Junlin walked out of the opera house. Along the way, they could hear the discussions of the people around them. Apart from the story itself, the most talked about part of the story was the actions of Wu Nyang in the play. Chong Nyang was the embodiment of all the beauty of women in the world. She had the tenderness of a woman, but she also had the courage of a man. She dared to say and do what she wanted, and she was not afraid of difficulties. She had touched countless people. Since Chong Nyang in the play succeeded, does this mean that this method is feasible? I am also thinking about this problem. You and I are both businessmen, so we know that the treatment of businessmen in the Great Huan dynasty is much better than that of other courts. In the play, Chong Nyang's situation was so difficult, but she still succeeded in the end. Because of their actions, the situation of the businessmen at that time was changed. If we can contribute to the Great Northern Sioux, can we also change the way the world views businessmen? Scholars, farmers, businessmen, the ideas passed down from generation to generation were not easy to change. Even if the Great Huan dynasty was not harsh on businessmen, because of all kinds of inherent ideas, the status of businessmen was not high. No matter how much money they had in their hands, if they didn't spend a lot of money to bribe people, they could easily lose a lot of money. Even if they had to spend money to buy peace of mind, buy protection, they were willing to do so. However, in most cases, after the money was spent and the relationship was good, the other party could still back out at the last minute. Shan Yu's sponsorship and donations could prevent this from happening. Shan Yu's play had already been performed in the capital for several days, and local opera troupes had also started to rehearse this play. For each troupe, as long as there were people watching, it was the same no matter what they rehearsed. There were also storytellers who saw a business opportunity telling stories about Chong Nyang in restaurants and tea houses. The guests liked to listen, and they were happy to tell more. After a few days of fermentation, the government received a petition from the people. Not only the government, but also the Supreme Court, the Ministry of Revenue, and several other places received the petition. In the morning court, the Minister of Revenue directly took out the petition. Reporting to Your Majesty, this official has received some letters from the people. Several other officials also stood up. Reporting to Your Majesty, this official has also received them. Bring them to me to see. Outside the palace, Yingxing Tower. Yen Zhang and more than a dozen businessmen were sitting in a private room. The leader was an elegant man in his 30s. They had just written a joint petition and handed it to the government. On the other side sat a few ordinary people, all of whom were well-known people in the neighborhood. They had gathered here to jointly write a petition. Everyone, don't worry. I have some friendship with an official in the Ministry of Revenue. He said that the Minister of Revenue will inform Your Majesty of our request today, the elegant man said. We naturally believe in young Master Jin's words. The others also spoke one after another. Young Master Jin had a lot of say among the businessmen in the capital. He was reliable, and everyone trusted him. This time, everyone had also recommended him to be in charge of this matter. After comforting the people, young Master Jin walked to Yen Zheng's side and said in a low voice, If you hadn't told me this, I wouldn't have dared to agree to this matter. Here's a toast to you. Brother Jin, you're too serious. When I first came to the capital, I received your help, but I wasn't able to thank you properly. This time, I only told you some information that I know. It's nothing much, Yan Zhang replied. When Shan Yu had wanted to decline the plan, he had asked Shang Junlin to conceal this information again. Unlike the officials, if the businessmen and ordinary people didn't have any connections, they wouldn't be able to find out about the imperial court's information. Yan Zhang knew about it because the Ministry of Works had accidentally leaked some information to him. There was also another reason. Yan Zhang had originally been waiting for the imperial court's order to donate a sum of money. He didn't expect that in the end, they would take the initiative to propose this matter. However, this was also good. It would be more beneficial for them and the imperial court. When Yan Zhang first saw Return to Spring, he had some vague guesses in his heart. Later, when he talked about this matter on the streets and alleys, his thoughts became clearer. Later, when he talked about cooperation with Shopkeeper Su seemed to have inadvertently mentioned it. He knew then that this was an excellent opportunity for him to enter the inner circle of the capital's businessmen. The small groups of businessmen in every place were xenophobic. In a place like the capital, it was even more so. He had been here for a while, but he still hadn't really integrated into the group until now. He knew in his heart who Shopkeeper Su was. The information that Shopkeeper Su revealed must have been from the people behind Shopkeeper Su. With an accurate answer, Yan Zhang privately looked for young Master Jean. After the two of them talked in detail, he met the most important person in the capital's business circle for the first time. If this matter went smoothly, he could use this matter to slowly gain a foothold. The waiting time always seemed exceptionally long. The sun gradually rose. Finally, a servant ran in with a happy face. That person has replied. His Majesty has agreed. Everyone's face lit up with joy. That's great. After this, our business should have fewer restrictions. After sitting down to discuss the specific matters of the donation, the group of people went back to make arrangements. Young Master Jean walked to the back with a relaxed smile on his face. He was a natural businessman and had always been sensitive to the trend of the imperial court. But this time, if it weren't for Yan Zhang's reassurance, he wouldn't have dared to take such a big risk. That day, when he helped Yan Zhang out of trouble, it was just a matter of convenience. He didn't expect that it would leave him with such a great good karma. Shan Yu was taking care of the flowers in Yuzhong Palace. Except for a pot sent by Imperial Physician Gu, the rest was sent by Shang Junlin. There were precious varieties, and there were also some that were sent purely because of their good growth. Shan Yu was not like Shang Junlin, who had a lot of free time every day. Every few days, he would personally take care of these flowers and plants. He would water them, loosen the soil, cut the branches, and so on. She stood to the side with a clean handkerchief. Young Master, Shopkeeper Su sent a message saying that he has preliminarily discussed the cooperation with young Master Yen. He also leaked the news to young Master Yen according to your instructions. I heard that in the past 2 days, the merchants and people in the capital have written to the government together. There should be a conclusion today. This show has been going on for so long, it's time to end it. Official Li of the Ministry of Revenue only knew what the Imperial Court was planning today. This matter was not disclosed to the outside world except for the Minister of Revenue, the Prime Minister, and a few other ministers. Even what Shan Yu told Yan Zhang was only a part of it. After the court, Official Li anxiously paced back and forth in the study. Finally, he made up his mind. He picked up a pen and hurriedly wrote something. Without waiting for the ink to dry, he put it in his pocket and walked out. The study door was opened, and Official Li's eyes widened in surprise. Where do you want to go, Official Li? The visitor coldly raised the corner of his mouth. Or rather, who do you want to send a message to? I don't know what you're talking about. You don't need to know. Come, take him away. Official Li was quietly taken away. After the morning court, Shang Junlin stayed behind with the Prime Minister and the Minister of Revenue to discuss the details of the donation. Eunuch Meng walked in from outside and said in a low voice, Your Majesty, the spy in the Ministry of Revenue has been caught. Handed over to the Supreme Court to investigate. I want to see who is plotting against Da Huan. When Shang Junlin returned to Yuzhong Palace, Shan Yu was still tending to the flowers. The hidden dragon guards caught a spy in the Ministry of Revenue. I handed him over to the Supreme Court. I hope they will be able to get something out of him. Shang Junlin walked over. I feel that it's not normal for it to be so peaceful now. Every time something happens in the Imperial Court, there will always be people secretly spreading unfavorable rumors about Your Majesty. Did Your Majesty find out who did it? Shan Yu put down the small shovel in his hand. I did. Don't worry, Shan Yu smiled. If they want to do anything this time, they will lose more than they gain. Shan Yu knew what those people would say without thinking. They would just blame Shang Junlin for the natural and man-made disasters. They might be waiting for the best time to act, but they didn't know that Shan Yu was also waiting for them to act. Not only would he not let these people get what they wanted, but he would also return the dirty water that they had slandered Shang Junlin in the past. Yu has taken good care of these flowers. Shang Junlin picked up the small shovel on the stone table and loosened the soil for the flowers that had not been loosened yet. I naturally have to take good care of the flowers sent by Your Majesty. Chapter 112. The two took care of the flowers and plants for a while. Shang Junlin wasn't interested in these things at first, but Shan Yu liked them, so he occasionally helped. After a few times, he had a certain understanding of these flowers and plants. In the beginning, he didn't know how to do anything. Shang Junlin had never taken care of flowers and plants in his life. When he was young, he was busy surviving in the harem. When he grew up, he entered the battlefield, so it was even more impossible for him to have time for this kind of romantic activity. When he ascended the throne, he took over the mess left by the previous emperor. In addition, the external enemies hadn't been eliminated yet, so the burden of the entire Dahuan was on his shoulders. Every day, he was busy with political affairs, which almost took up most of his time. Later, everything in Dahuan was on the right track. He had also passed the age of enjoying life. His life was as boring as ever, until Shan Yu entered the palace. Like a stone thrown into the water, it created circles of ripples. Like a bright moon, it lit up his boring life. Shang Junlin had never thought that the two of them would enjoy such a leisurely day in the afternoon like now. Your Majesty's current technique is much better than before. Shan Yu looked at the Junling that Shang Junlin was taking care of and joked. Your Majesty seems to like this Junling very much. Every time, you would take care of it alone. That was because he didn't want Shan Yu to take care of the flowers and plants sent by others. Otherwise, he wouldn't have sent so many flowers and plants to Yuzhong Palace to distract Shan Yu. Yu cares about it, so Zhen naturally also cares more. Shang Junlin pursed his lips. Shan Yu didn't expose his little thoughts. Does Your Majesty still remember the first time you said you would help me loosen the soil for the flowers? You almost broke the roots. I took care of that pot of flowers for a few days before I managed to grow it back. It's this pot. Shan Yu pointed at the pot of flowers beside his hand. I remember, Shang Junlin smiled as he recalled what happened at that time. At that time, Zhan was thinking that if this pot of water couldn't be saved, Zhan would find an opportunity to ask for it from you. Then, Zhan would find a pot of water that was exactly the same and say that it was saved. He still remembered the sadness that flashed across Shan Yu's face at that moment. He didn't want to see such an expression on Shan Yu's face, even if it was just a pot of flowers in his eyes. Since his Yu cared, he would find a way to make Yu not feel sad about this matter. So at that time, His Majesty had even thought of the worst-case scenario. Shan Yu also smiled. His Majesty is a quick learner. Later on, he did not harm these flowers and plants. Shang Junlin was a person who would do everything to the extreme once he made up his mind. Shan Yu had personally witnessed how Shang Junlin changed from a person who didn't know how to do anything. He also knew that Shang Junlin didn't like the flowers sent by Gu Tai. It was because he saw that Shan Yu liked them that he didn't say anything. At most, he would send a large wave of flowers and plants to share the favor of Junling. It's also because Yu taught well. With such a diligent teacher like Yu, if the students still couldn't learn, then he could only be described as stupid. Shang Junlin finished loosening the soil and washed his hands in the basin beside him, drying them. The student has to be smart. Otherwise, no matter how good the teacher is, it's useless. Shan Yu also finished tidying up the last pot of flowers. Shang Junlin grabbed Shan Yu's hands, submerged them in the water, and washed them little by little. Then is you willing to teach Zhen some other knowledge? For example, how can the student please the teacher to make the teacher more comfortable? Be willing to do more with the student. Your Majesty really doesn't forget about this matter at all times. Seeing that Shang Junlin's words were getting more and more out of hand, Shan Yu interrupted him. Shan Yu's hand was imprisoned in the man's palm. The man's calloused fingertips slid over the back of her hand, causing her to feel a burst of numbness. Shan Yu couldn't help but curl her fingers. Her soft palm was opened, and the man's bony hand forcefully submerged into her hand. From the palm of her hand to the gap between her fingers, the man's 10 fingers were tightly intertwined. Zhen wants to kiss you. Shang Junlin stared at him with burning eyes. If your Majesty wants to kiss me, then kiss me. The rest of her words were blocked by the man who suddenly approached her. Nibbling, licking, and sucking. The man's actions were as bold as always, forcefully cooperating with Shan Yu. She closed her eyes, and her long eyelashes cast a shadow under her eyes. Her eyelashes fluttered gently with her breathing, like a startled butterfly. After the kiss ended, Shang Junlin's forehead pressed against Shan Yu's. Both of their breaths were somewhat unstable. How was your student's performance this time? Shang Junlin chuckled. The man's voice was low and slightly trembling, knocking on Shan Yu's heart. Shan Yu's reaction was even more intense than before. Seeing this, Shang Junlin's eyes darkened even more. He sucked on Shan Yu's lips and asked, "Do you like your student acting like this?" Your Majesty, Without waiting for him to finish speaking, Shang Junlin had already kissed him again. Zhen will build a greenhouse for you. He hid Shan Yu and his favorite flowers together. Shan Yu was immersed in a haze, and all of his senses were robbed. Vaguely, he seemed to hear Shang Junlin saying something, but the voice was separated by a vast white fog, so he couldn't hear it clearly. He could only reply with meaningless syllables. Shang Junlin hugged him even tighter. 2 days later, the imperial court issued the first government order to aid Subei. The people of the capital had been waiting for this moment for many days, and finally, they arranged their belongings to see what they could donate. Of course, Shan Yu knew that the premise of donating was that it couldn't affect the normal lives of the people, and it also had to prevent officials from taking advantage of the opportunity to fill their pockets. After discussing with Shang Junlin, he decided to anonymously disclose the donation information. The people would be informed of the ins and outs of each donation. If the donation exceeded a certain amount, an official would visit the person, and after obtaining the consent of the owner, the donor's information would be disclosed to the public. The latter was specially set up for merchants and some aristocratic families. They could choose to use this opportunity to gain a good reputation for themselves, or they could choose to donate silently. The imperial court would give the same reward to both parties. It was undeniable that this was a huge and tedious project. Fortunately, Shang Junlin had selected many useful officials through the imperial examinations over the years. These people didn't have high official positions, and there weren't many of them in the imperial court. Most of them were still in the process of being transferred out, so they were just in time to handle this matter. The government order was quickly sent to various places, and the imperial court set up a special monitoring organization. The Prime Minister and the Minister of Revenue were temporarily in charge, and the officials who entered this organization were mostly from the capital. They were in groups of 2 or 3, and they would take people to various places in the Great Huan dynasty as quickly as possible to supervise the matters related to the donation. At the same time, the imperial court also arranged for special officials to explain the specific process of donating to the people. Because of the disaster in Subei, the entire Great Huan dynasty started to move. All the officials were nervous and expectant about this operation. They couldn't find similar precedents in the history books. If they succeeded, it would be a great achievement in the history books, but if not, Yan Zheng and the other merchants who first received the news were the first to act. They had already prepared supplies in advance, mostly food and other necessities. There was also a lot of gold and silver, which were donated under the witness of the officials sent by the imperial court. Next were the aristocratic families. After a few generations of accumulation, the wealth in their hands was immeasurable. The ordinary people were informed in advance, and they contributed as much as they could. Shan Yu considered the possible problems and incorporated the solutions into the script. Those who had watched the story of returning to spring would at least have a certain understanding of donating. In addition, there were officials watching from the side, which greatly reduced the possibility of problems arising. The local officials cooperated with the people sent by the imperial court, and the donating process was carried out in an orderly manner. The hidden dragon guards were scattered all over the country, and they passed the news back to the capital. Subei. Official Fong and the others rested for a while, and they sent people to start the disaster relief. The food and other supplies they brought were temporarily enough, and Official Fong also received confirmation from the capital that more supplies would be sent over, so he didn't have to worry. After receiving the news, Official Fong also dared to do the disaster relief. First, they helped the people. Official Fong ordered people to give out porridge every day, and those who were able to work gathered together to do what they could. In the face of a disaster, the most important thing was not just disaster relief, but also the problem of post-disaster reconstruction. Subei's geographical location was too important, and it would be a major blow to De Huan if it couldn't recover after the disaster. Official Fong took out a portion of the food and gave it to the Subei army. After all, before the imperial court people came, the people in Subei relied on the Subei army's salary to survive. Subei was very big, and Official Fong ignored the advice of the officials, and began to lead the people sent by the imperial court to help with the disaster relief. After leaving the biggest city in Subei, Official Fong and the others finally realized how serious the disaster was. There were people starving to death by the roadside at any time, and there was no harvest. It was not an exaggeration to say that it was hell on earth. It's already so serious. Why are those people still saying that it's okay? Was this not a big deal? Will they only admit that the disaster is serious when all the people are dead? The younger officials saw this scene, and their eyes turned red. What was written in books or heard from other people was not as shocking as seeing it with their own eyes. They lived in the city and were almost deceived by the tranquility of the city. If Master Fong did not insist on bringing them out, would they not know what they had done wrong until they returned to the capital? A shabbily dressed teenager saw them, and his eyes lit up. He crawled over on all fours. "Masters, please do me a favor and give me something to eat." The soft-hearted official subconsciously reached for the food, but was stopped by Official Fong. "Stop." Official Fong walked over and looked at the crowd of victims. He frowned and squatted down, ignoring the confusion of the official. "Can you still walk? If you can, follow me. Do you see over there? Our people are giving out porridge over there. If you stick to it, you'll get food. Not only will you be full today, you'll be full in the future." There was a small city in front of them, and it was also the destination of Official Fong's group. It was not far from here, and under normal circumstances, they could reach it in less than an hour. The teenager looked into the distance, and then looked at Official Fong, who was squatting down to look at him at the same level. His eyes were half puzzled and half conflicted. Official Fong nodded. "I'm not lying to you. Our people are already there. Look, isn't there smoke over there?" The teenager looked over again, and in a daze, he really did see smoke rising from the chimneys. "You look like a good person. I'll believe you this time." The teenager's face was covered in dirt, but his eyes were no longer lifeless. Instead, there was light in them. It was the look of someone who saw hope after despair. Official Fong suppressed the bitterness in his heart. "You have to follow. If you follow, you'll survive." The teenager nodded. Official Fong stood up, picked up a branch from the side, and handed it to the teenager. "This is for you." The teenager slowly stood up with the support of the branch. He looked at the backs of Official Fong's group, and slowly but firmly followed step by step. Chapter 113. Sir, why didn't you let me give the child something to eat? The official couldn't help but turn around. Don't look back, Lord Fong's voice was still steady. You can save him now, but you can't save him forever. What's more, didn't you see those refugees faintly gathering around us? If you save this one, what about the rest? There aren't many people. That's because you've only seen these people. Do you know why I told them to take the food and leave at night? It's because starving people don't have any rationality. They even eat people. Do you think you can leave this place safely if you take out the food? Lord Fong's unhurried voice caused the official to break out in a cold sweat. Another official walked up and whispered, I know you're soft-hearted, but being soft-hearted when you shouldn't be will only harm everyone. This official knows his mistake. The young official lowered his head in shame. In fact, before they left, Lord Fong had told them to ignore people begging for food on the road. He saw that the child was young and thought of his younger brother. He couldn't bear it and almost made a big mistake. Lord Fong sighed. He didn't have the heart to do that, but the goal of this trip was the entire Subei. He couldn't lose the big picture for the small. He knew that this trip would be difficult before he left, but His Majesty sent him because he trusted him. No matter what, he couldn't betray this trust. The small town in front of them was their second destination. Compared to the main city, the environment here was worse. But in the face of all this, none of the officials complained. They knew that just surviving was already the result of the people living here putting in the greatest effort. The official who came to greet them wasn't very dignified. His cheeks were thin and his complexion wasn't good. When he saw them, his eyes lit up. You must be the disaster relief official sent by the imperial court. I didn't expect you to come in person. Please come in, there aren't many things in the residence. Please forgive me. The official residence of this small town was much smaller than the main city. The decorations were also very old. Lord Fong looked around but couldn't find a single valuable item. After a few simple greetings, Lord Fong went straight to the point. How is the disaster situation here? I had people bring some supplies, but I don't know if it's enough. The official clearly knew the situation here and gave a concise summary of the disaster situation. Lord Fong's frown deepened as he listened. Strictly speaking, the disaster began at the end of April. Until now, there had not been a single drop of rain. Later, when they could no longer hold on, the government sold everything that could be sold for money and bought a batch of food from outside. Only then were they barely able to hold on until now. Didn't you say that the northern Jiangsu army's pay and provisions were used for emergency purposes? Most of the food is in the main city. For small towns and villages like ours, it's already a blessing to be able to get some. There's only so much food left, and it won't last long with so many people. Those who can leave have already left, but where can they escape to? It's the same situation in the entire Subei region. Didn't anyone escape to the northern part of Su? The minor official looked embarrassed. He gritted his teeth and continued, It's impossible to escape outside. This official has a relative who wanted to leave Subei with his wife and daughter, but they disappeared before they could go far. They haven't been found yet. No wonder the imperial court didn't receive any news. Lord Fong pondered. It turned out that from the beginning, someone had deliberately prevented the people here from escaping. As long as there were disaster victims outside, they would be able to find out that something had happened in Subei. After understanding the situation, Lord Fong asked the minor official to gather people to distribute porridge outside the official residence. Lord, there are many refugees outside the city gate. A gatekeeper came to report. They should have followed us here. Lord Fong remembered that it was a young man he had met on the way here. Should we let them into the city? The county magistrate looked at the busy crowd. Actually, it doesn't matter if they come in. There aren't many people in the city anyway. Some of these people might have originally come from the city. Let's check first. After making sure there's no problem, bring them here. You guys go and help. Lord Fong pointed at a few guards behind him. With the guards maintaining order, the people who came to get the porridge lined up in an orderly manner. The county magistrate's words were not wrong. There weren't many people left here. The people distributing the porridge moved quickly. Before long, the long line could be seen. Are these the only people? Lord Fong frowned as he looked at the people squatting at the side. Even though the city was not big, the number of people here was much less than he had expected. Lord, I have a bedridden mother at home. I wonder if you can give a bowl of porridge to my bedridden mother? What are you thinking? Lord Fong is already kind enough to give porridge. The person beside him pulled him aside. He had heard that the imperial court had sent an official to provide disaster relief. The philanthropist official had even personally come to this small town to distribute porridge. Those who could come had all come. There were still some who couldn't, especially the childless elderly, who could only resign themselves to fate. You, come here. Lord Fong called the official who had almost made a mistake on the way here. Who is more familiar with this place? Bring him around and send some food to the bedridden elderly. You are really a philanthropist. The people who were eating porridge at the side heard this and couldn't help but put down the porridge and kowtow. Since the imperial court has sent me here, I will save those who can be saved. Also, gather all the doctors here. I need some medicinal herbs. After major disasters such as droughts and floods, they were often accompanied by plagues. Before he came, the imperial physicians of the imperial hospital had given him some prescriptions to prevent plagues. He had to nip the problem in the bud. That's right, let the doctors come with us to check on the situation of these people. If they have symptoms such as fever, they need to be treated together. Also, let everyone in the city clean themselves. Lord Fong gave out orders one by one. The people below followed and quickly acted. Knowing that the imperial court had sent enough food and wouldn't abandon them, the people also enthusiastically helped. Originally, he was going to arrange things for them to do. Before he came, Shan Yu had specially told him that if possible, he should try his best to let the disaster victims use their own labor to exchange for food. Only in this way could the possibility of a riot be reduced. The disaster victims who came with Lord Fong and his group were also properly settled. After that, the youth found Lord Fong and kowtowed to him. Lord Fong saved my life. I am willing to do anything for Lord Fong. That's not necessary. You were able to come here by yourself. Lord Fong patted the shoulder of the youth who had been cleaned. What are your plans for the future? I also want to be an official. I want to be a good official like Lord Fong. The youth's eyes were firm. Lord Fong's heart moved. What about your family? Do you want to go find them? I don't have a family. The light in the youth's eyes dimmed. I don't know where they are. Can you read? Lord Fong asked. The youth nodded. I can. I used to write letters for some people. Then are you willing to work for me? Lord Fong asked again. Can I? The youth was pleasantly surprised. As long as you want. However, it will be very tiring to work for me. I am willing. The youth nodded heavily. At night, Lord Fong wrote down the situation in Subei as usual and handed it to the black-clothed people hiding nearby. A few days later, Shang Junlin received a report from Subei. The situation in Subei is really strange. When Fong Jun arrived outside the main city, he found that the situation there was completely different from the main city. Shang Junlin picked up the report written by Lord Fong and showed it to Shen Yu. So the soldiers' provisions are all in the hands of the main city's officials? Only a small part of it is actually used by the people. How deeply did the late emperor's people infiltrate Subei? Shen Yu frowned. He knew too little about Subei. In his previous life, Subei had never been in any trouble. His attention was focused on the south. Until his death, Subei's existence was not high. When I led the Subei army to resist the northern desert, I was most seriously injured in Subei. At that time, the officials in Subei did not act, causing half of Subei's territory to be occupied by the northern desert. After I led the army to take back the territory, I fiercely attacked and separated the military and government in Subei. Now it seems that my purge was not thorough enough. Shang Junlin looked displeased. Xin Yu, those people actually let Lord Fong go elsewhere? Shang Junlin, Fong Jun can directly contact the Subei army. For the time being, they did not dare to go too far. Shen Yu, according to the information we know, those people should not be able to control the Subei army. Seeing that they only dared to kill people after they left Subei's territory, we know that they are afraid of the Subei army. As long as the Subei army was not infiltrated, there was nothing to be afraid of. Shang Junlin, Gu Huai's side has also contacted the Subei army. They will first investigate internally to find the problematic people. Once they have dealt with the people planted in the Subei army and figured out their true purpose, they will take action to deal with them. Shen Yu, Your Majesty, did you find anything in King Yu's fief? I found clues about him secretly recruiting soldiers and buying horses. Shang Junlin was even more displeased at the mention of King Yu. He stroked Shan Yu's hair. Yu, do you know why he approached you in the first place? When Shang Junlin suddenly mentioned this, Shan Yu was stunned. Rope in Zhenbei Marquis' residence? What's there to rope in Zhenbei Marquis' residence? Yu, do you know what news I heard from Shang Junyue's fief? Shang Junyue raised a group of strategists, and the people in the group came from different places. One of the strategists who was good at divination once mentioned to Shang Junyue a maxim: whoever gets the son of Zhenbei Marquis will get the world. As long as he thought about how King Yu had coveted Shen Yu from the beginning, Shang Junlin could not suppress the murderous intent in his heart. Shen Yu's mind suddenly shook. He seemed to have thought of something, but also seemed to have not thought of anything. There was a trace of confusion in his eyes. So that's why he approached Shen Qingran while approaching me? How many secrets were hidden in the past life that was hidden under the timeline? It's just nonsense. Only people like King Yu would believe it. Yu, don't think too much. I have already asked the hidden dragon guards to find a way to find that person. No matter why that person said those words, I will make him pay the price. Yu was deceived because of a sentence that he did not know was true or false. This time, Yu was smart and did not fall for it. What if he was really deceived by King Yu? Shang Junlin did not dare to imagine that possibility. I won't think too much. What King Yu thinks has nothing to do with me. I know that Your Majesty will protect me. Isn't that right, Your Majesty? Shan Yu leaned on Shang Junlin's shoulder. At this moment, he was even more confused about what happened in his previous life. Chapter 114. Shan Yu was never afraid of fate. In his previous life, he was able to overcome the difficult situation. Regardless of whether his fate was intentional or not, he did not care. He always believed that he had to walk his own path. I will protect you. No one can hurt you. Shang Junlin hugged Shen Yu tightly. Does Your Majesty believe what that person said? Does Your Majesty believe in fate? Shen Yu leaned into the man's arms and asked softly. Fate? Shang Junlin snorted. I have never believed in such things. When I was young, everyone told me to accept my fate and become an abandoned prince. But I did not. I have never believed in the so-called fate. If you want something, don't fight for it yourself and blindly rely on fate. You might as well give it up from the beginning. Shan Yu gave a muffled laugh and said, Your Majesty is right. I have never believed in fate. When I was young, the servant girls and manservants in the Fu told me more than once that I didn't have this fate and that I had taken the title of D-Son for nothing. At that time I thought, so what? No matter how much Shen Qingran and Yin Yongru think, the fact that the D-Son is mine will not change. I must take this title. Not only that, I will stand at a height that they can't reach in the future and look down on them. The facts proved that Shan Yu did it. Whether in his previous life or this life, he stood at a position higher than Shen Qingran and his son. In his previous life, Shen Qingran was favored by Emperor Yu. When he met Shen Yu, he could only obediently shrink back. Shen Yu never wronged himself. In his previous life, he did not like Shen Qingran, so he did not force himself to be on good terms with him. Emperor Yu tried to repair their relationship several times, but he was rejected. Will your majesty think that I am not good? How can that be? Whatever a Yu does is right. Shang Junlin rubbed his cheek. Your majesty, if you catch that person, I want to see him. Maybe the reason why King Yu came to him in his 2 lives was because of this person. Shan Yu was somewhat concerned about this person. Shang Junlin, who originally wanted to catch the man and execute him on the spot, paused. In his heart, he did not want Shan Yu to come into contact with that man. Why would a Yu want to see him? He's just a con man. Since he accurately said the name son of Count North, perhaps he used to be active in the capital, or even went to Count North's residence. I'm curious about this person's identity. If he was a scammer, he could just let Shang Junlin deal with him. If he wasn't, that person might be able to solve some of his doubts. Alright, but when you go see him, you have to bring me along. Speaking of Shen Qingran, after Shang Junlin went to the imperial court the next morning, Shen Yu asked Mu Shi about the situation in Count North's mansion. His people had been keeping an eye on Count North's mansion, and any movement would be directly transmitted to Mu Shi. Shen Qingran has been very quiet recently. It seems that he has stopped making trouble. Concubine Ru has also been very quiet. Shan Yu was somewhat surprised by this result. It was reasonable to say that Shan Qingran and Concubine Ru did not seem like people who would obediently accept their fate. Otherwise, they would not have caused so much trouble in Count North's mansion. Shen Yu was right. How could Shen Qingran be willing to accept his current fate? He thought that he was from the modern era, so there was no reason that he could not beat some ancient people. How could he be willing to watch Shen Yu live better and better? When the summer was hot, he made a fuss and said that he wanted to see Count North, saying that he had something very important to give him. However, Count North did not want to see him at all. He had no choice but to use his trump card, saying that he could turn water into ice in the summer. As soon as he said this, before he could report it to Count North, the servant who delivered the message laughed. I say, second young master, you should save it. Now the imperial court sells ice at a low price. There is already a way to make ice. Don't you just find an excuse to trick Count North to come over? How is that possible? Shen Qingran did not believe it. He clearly remembered that De Huan did not have a way to make ice. He hid this method because he wanted to have a better future for himself in the future. He did not tell anyone. He grabbed the servant's shoulder and said with a ferocious face, You lied to me, didn't you? Did you get benefits from Shen Yu and deliberately don't let me see my father? Second young master, the servant pulled his hand away with a cold face. I called you second young master, but you really think that you are the same as before. Why would I lie to you? You can casually ask and you will know whether I lied to you or not. If the imperial court did not sell ice at a low price, do you think that with your current situation, you can still use ice? Shen Qingran's face was blank for a moment. He had never thought about this problem. Since he transmigrated, he was favored because of his concubine mother. Everything he used was not inferior to Shen Yu, the son of the first wife. During this time, he had been thinking about how to change his current situation and how to climb to the top of Shen Yu's head again. He did not pay attention to the changes in his surroundings. Not only you, even the little ones can use ice. Who wouldn't be happy to spend some money and have a good sleep? The summer in the capital was really hot. In the past, when they had no money, they served their master during the day and could get some cool air. At night, there was no other way. It was so hot that they could not sleep. Let's talk about the matter of being instructed by the eldest young master. The eldest young master is now living in the palace. How could he instruct the people in the palace through the palace walls? Besides, Her Majesty will soon go to the summer palace to avoid the summer heat. As the only person in Her Majesty's harem, the eldest young master will naturally be busy preparing for the summer heat. How could he have the time to care about your business? The servant's words made Shen Qingran's face turn green and white. Especially the servant's words revealed that Shan Yu was living well now, which made him feel like he was sitting on pins and needles. The manservant was bullied here and didn't want to let Shen Qingran have a good time. When he went to reply to Sir Jinbei, He only said that Shan Qingran had a bad attitude and didn't mention anything about the ice making. Going to the summer palace to avoid the summer heat? Shan Qingran remembered that Count North had taken him there when he was young. This time, Count North would definitely be able to go there, so this was his only chance. He wanted to tell the emperor in person that he was the one who should go to the palace. It was Shen Yu who took his position. He wanted to take this opportunity to put everything back to its original position. Unexpectedly, he waited and waited, but Count North did not take him to the summer palace. Instead, he took another concubine in the palace. Shan Qingran was so angry that he smashed his favorite ornament. After Mu Shi finished talking about this, she covered her mouth and smiled. Count North scolded him again after he went back. Since then, Shan Qingran has been quiet in Count North's palace. Count North is probably completely disappointed in his son. Shan Yu played with the empty teacup on the table. That's right. Young master, you don't know. After Duke Zhenbei returned from the summer palace, Shan Qingran made a big fuss. He even went to ask Duke Zhenbei why he didn't take him there. Did he not take his son seriously? Concubine Ru finally made Duke Zhenbei feel a little guilty by being gentle. He was almost angered to death. Speaking of this, Mu Shi's eyes flashed with a touch of joy. When they were in Count North's palace, how arrogant were Shan Qingran and concubine Ru. How many bad things did they do to her young master because of Count North's favor? Now, they finally got what they deserved. Shen Yu just thought of it and suddenly asked. After knowing the situation of the two, he no longer cared about this matter. He looked at the place where the flowers and plants were placed and raised his eyebrows. Did His Majesty send flowers again? Among the flowers and plants, there was one with a huge yellow flower bud. Shen Yu walked over to take a look, but he couldn't recognize the species. When was this pot sent here? Shen Yu looked at the flower and asked. It seems to be 2 days ago. Mu Shi's eyes flashed with confusion for a moment. I don't have much impression of it. I'll ask someone to ask. Mu Shi called the attendant in charge of taking care of the flowers and plants. The attendant saw the flower, thought for a moment, and replied, This flower was sent by Prince and heard that you like flowers and plants, so he specially found a precious one and sent it here. Prince and... Why would Prince and send flowers for no reason? Take the flowers away. In the future, only flowers sent by His Majesty will be placed here. Find a place to put the flowers sent by others. Shen Yu ordered lightly. Yes. The attendant hurried forward and moved the flowers away. Shen Yu looked around and didn't find any strange flowers and plants. I didn't do a good job and didn't carefully ask about this matter. Mu Shi bowed her head and admitted her mistake. Just be careful in the future. Tell the servants to pay more attention. Don't casually accept flowers and plants of unknown origin. There were too many people who could tamper with flowers and plants. Yes. Find someone to find out what kind of flower that pot is and find out the origin of the flower by the way. Yes. Young master, there's one more thing. Many people in the palace asked me if they could donate some money. Although it's not much, it's still a token of their sincerity. On the way back, Mu Shi asked. At that time, didn't you let many people in the palace watch Return to Spring? They've come to me several times, saying that they hope they can do something. At that time, after Return to Spring was rehearsed, in order to test the effect, Shen Yu let them perform it several times in the palace. Shang Junlin didn't have any concubines in the harem, so Shan Yu let the palace people listen to it. These people's reactions could also explain some people's reactions after watching it. It's okay to do a token of their sincerity, but tell them not to compare and just do their best. I'll leave this matter to you and little eunuch Meng. Shan Yu also heard this news in Consort Dowager's palace. He couldn't help but be stunned. At the same time, he admired Shen Yu even more. The donations outside the palace were managed by the imperial court. Shen Yu in the palace couldn't completely ignore it. However, with Mu Shi and little eunuch Meng in charge, Shan Yu didn't have to worry too much. Shang Junlin returned from the imperial court and heard eunuch Meng mention this matter on the way back. In my opinion, Guojuan's method is really wonderful. Right now, almost everyone is paying attention to the matters in Subei. Whatever those rascals want to do, they definitely won't succeed. Shang Junlin felt proud. You can always solve problems for Zhen. When they arrived at Yuzhong Palace, Shan Yu was looking at the account book. It was the donation of the palace people. After Mu, she sorted it out and submitted it. What is Yu looking at? Shang Junlin waved his hand to signal the palace people to retreat and walked to Shan Yu's side. Looking at the account book of the palace people's donation, it's more than I expected. Shan Yu handed one of the account books to Shang Junlin. Shang Junlin took it and said, "The imperial court also sorted out a copy. It's much more than expected." In order to reduce the time spent on the road, Zhan had them directly transport it from the original place to Subei. It's just to find something for the garrison troops to do. What's the reaction of the vassal kings? Perhaps they were scared in the capital during the new year. After the imperial court people went there, they did whatever they were told to do. They were also very concerned about the donation. Did you receive anything from the vassal kings? Shang Junlin didn't forget that before the vassal kings left the capital, they were ruthlessly ripped off by his Yu. Chapter 115. The people they left in the capital sent me some things. I asked my subordinates to exchange them for food and medicinal herbs to donate. Shan Yu thought of something important. Your Majesty, you must let them prepare for the plague in advance. After a disaster, there would be a plague. The former was a natural disaster and couldn't be resisted. The latter could be minimized through manpower. I have already instructed them. This time, I will send the imperial physicians who are experienced in this field. I have also recruited physicians who are experienced in this field. They will go to Subei with the next batch of relief supplies. Through this incident, Shang Junlin realized that a lot of things could be done by using the power of the people. In the past, they were too narrow-minded and ignored the huge power that could be used by the people. If it wasn't for Shan Yu mentioning it, he was afraid that the disaster relief this time wouldn't have gone so smoothly. Your Majesty, is there any new progress regarding Fei Meng? After this drought, if there was an epidemic, would it be related to Fei Meng? Shang Junlin shook his head. The hidden dragon guards are investigating, but there are very few clues. Every time, they will be cut off at the most crucial point. I am afraid of alerting the enemy, so I didn't let them make too big of a move. Your Majesty, which imperial physician are you sending to Subei this time? Is he reliable? Shan Yu asked. It's Imperial Physician Wu and one of his students. They will also bring along a few less experienced ones. Imperial Physician Gu also wanted to go, but I didn't allow it. In Shang Junlin's heart, Subei was important, but Shan Yu's health was another matter. Imperial Physician Gu was responsible for Shan Yu's health. He wouldn't let Imperial Physician Gu leave so easily. There are no problems with these people. Yu, what do you think? Shang Junlin didn't think that Shan Yu would ask about this for no reason. There are some things I want to say about Fei Meng. In the end, after Shan Yu and Shang Junlin discussed, they decided to reveal some important information to Imperial Physician Wu. Imperial Physician Wu's medical skills were excellent, and he had studied all kinds of epidemics. If it really involved Fei Meng, Imperial Physician Wu would be able to distinguish it in time. Imperial Physician Courtyard. Imperial Dr. Wu called his student and Imperial Dr. Gu over. I've already spoken to His Majesty. You don't have to worry too much. There are many doctors going to Subei. There won't be any problems. Imperial Physician Wu comforted his disciples. He knew that his students were worried about him, but there were some things that if everyone did not do out of fear of possible risks, it would only lead to more serious consequences. Moreover, he had come into contact with various epidemics in the past, so it was not as scary as the rumors said. It was just that the infection rate was slightly higher. If the cause of the disease was found and the right medicine was used, the disease could still be cured. As a doctor, he should treat all illnesses equally. If he gave up because of fear, he might as well quit being a doctor. We know that we can't persuade teacher, and we won't. We only hope that teacher can take good care of himself. Third senior brother, when you go with teacher, you must remind teacher to eat on time, rest on time, and not be overworked. In truth, it wasn't that they didn't want their teacher to go, but they couldn't help but worry. After all, their teacher was getting on in years. Going to the faraway Sioux Bay, where the environment was harsh, what if something happened? Brothers, don't worry. I will. The third disciple stood up and cupped his hands to everyone. Actually, I originally wanted to bring little Gu along. This is a very good opportunity for him to gain experience. Unfortunately, His Majesty won't allow it. Imperial Physician Wu knew that Imperial Physician Gu's qualifications were still lacking if he wanted to take over his position. If he could go with him to Sioux Bay, he could earn some merits. Imperial Physician Gu also wanted to go. On one hand, he studied because of his family background, and on the other hand, he wanted to save the people of the world. He had expressed his thoughts to His Majesty in private, but His Majesty clearly hoped that he could stay in the capital and look after His Majesty's health. Imperial Physician Wu gave a few more instructions to his students. He was determined to go to Sioux Bay. How could he not know that he was getting on in years? But with his medical skills, he still had to put them to good use. You all should also relax. This time, there hasn't been an epidemic in Sioux Bay yet. We're going to do more to prevent it, so it's not that dangerous. Instead of worrying here, why don't you use what you've learned to make some medicine? I'll bring it with me when the time comes. Imperial Physician Wu didn't want his students to be stuck in a state of worry, so he suggested. Based on his experience, Imperial Physician Wu listed some necessary items and entered the palace to make a final report. At that time, Shang Junlin was with Shen Yu, so he asked Imperial Physician Wu to come directly to Yuzhong Palace. This was the first time Imperial Physician Wu saw Shen Yu at such a close distance. He once thought that Shan Yu was a sickly beauty, but when he saw him, he discovered that he wasn't. If he didn't know that Shan Yu had congenital deficiency in advance, Imperial Physician Wu would have thought that he was a normal person just by looking at his current appearance. His complexion was very good, his eyes were bright, and there wasn't a trace of illness on his body. Sitting together with His Majesty, his aura wasn't suppressed at all. The atmosphere between the two complemented each other and couldn't tolerate anyone else. No wonder His Majesty didn't want Gu Chong to go to Sioux Bay. At this moment, Imperial Physician Wu understood. Because in His Majesty's heart, Guizhuan's status was not lower than anything else. It was even faintly higher than anything else. There could be many doctors going to Sioux Bay. One more Imperial Physician Gu wouldn't make a difference. However, the only one who could make His Majesty feel assured to nurse Guizhuan's body was Imperial Physician Gu. Imperial Physician Gu was indeed the most talented doctor he had ever seen. If it weren't for Shi Kai, he wouldn't have made an exception to let Imperial Physician Gu enter the Imperial Hospital. Now, he wouldn't have made an exception and wanted to pass his position to him. According to the pulse recorded by the Imperial Hospital, Guizhuan's physical condition was really not good. Even if Imperial Physician Wu were to nurse Guizhuan's body, it probably wouldn't have the effect it had now. Imperial Physician Wu, please sit down. Don't be restrained. Shan Yu asked the palace servants to bring a chair for Imperial Physician Wu. He and Shang Junlin were originally playing chess in the courtyard. When they heard that Imperial Physician Wu had come, they directly met him in the courtyard. Since it wasn't a formal occasion, there was no need to be too restrained. After Imperial Physician Wu sat down, he talked about the preparations of the Imperial Hospital and some handover matters. This official will temporarily hand over the Imperial Hospital to Gu Chong. Your Majesty, please rest assured. This official has arranged everything. After this official leaves, the Imperial Hospital will operate as usual. There won't be any trouble. I know. If there's anything you need, just tell me. This time, you're going to Sioux Bay to do things for me. I won't treat you unfairly, Shang Junlin said. Your Majesty is too serious. Even if Your Majesty didn't give the order, this official would have wanted to go there personally. This official sat in this position because of the merit of curing the epidemic. These years, there hasn't been any new epidemic under your Majesty's rule, so there's no place for this official to use his skills. Your Majesty, please rest assured. With this official here, this official will not let any problems occur in Subei. No one except Imperial Physician Wu dared to make such a promise. With you here, I'm very relieved. During this trip, Imperial Physician Wu must also take good care of your body. Shang Junlin still had a lot of trust in Imperial Physician Wu's medical skills. Thank you for your concern, Your Majesty. As a subject, what he hoped most was to be appreciated by the Emperor. Imperial Physician Wu felt that everything was worth it to hear Shang Junlin's words today. There's one more thing. The medical alcohol that I gave you before can not only reduce wound infection, but also be used to disinfect. Another thing is, if there really is an epidemic, I hope that Imperial Physician Wu can carefully observe and see if there are any differences or similarities between this epidemic and the ones you've seen before. I've listed some things here. If the situation matches up, I hope that Imperial Physician Wu can report the news to Lord Fong as soon as possible. Shan Yu waved his hand. Mu Shi, bring the things here. Mu Shi presented a sealed letter and handed it to Imperial Physician Wu. Imperial Physician Wu, just read the things inside and remember them by yourself. Shang Junlin said. This official obeys. Why did you write those things to Imperial Physician Wu? After Imperial Physician Wu left, Shang Junlin asked, previously, you asked about Fei Meng. Is it because he suspects that the epidemic in Subei is related to Fei Meng? It had to be said that Shang Junlin was a very sensitive person. He could easily grasp the most crucial information from a person's movements and then integrate it to reach a conclusion that was infinitely close to the truth. You can say that. Shen, you didn't hide anything from Shang Junlin now. But it's just my personal guess. Whether it's true or not depends on Imperial Physician Wu's verification. In the letter, Shan Yu wrote about the phenomenon of the man-made epidemic and the symptoms of some people who were infected. He also wrote some countermeasures according to the memory of his previous life. The man-made epidemic that he knew of didn't happen in the present, so he wasn't sure if the other party would take action. Don't worry. We've made sufficient preparations this time. Nothing will happen. Shang Junlin held Shan Yu's hand and comforted him. After the first batch of relief materials was organized, they were transported to Subei from all over the country. Shang Junlin gave a strict order that every donation of money and materials must be made public. When the materials arrived in Subei, how to use them would be transmitted to each place so that the people could participate in the whole process. Shan Yu and Shang Junlin had previously proposed to build a separate communication channel for each place. This was the first time that the latest information about the disaster relief would be sent to each place at the fastest speed through this channel. Unlike the court bulletin, this newspaper was for everyone in Dahuan. Taking into account that there were people who were illiterate, special readers were arranged. At first, the imperial court didn't agree to do this. Some officials felt that it was improper to tell the people everything. Shang Junlin didn't bother to pay attention to them and directly gave the order. Once the imperial edict was issued, not many people dared to disobey it. Only the Prime Minister suffered because there was one more thing he had to take responsibility for. After this incident, I plan to send He Chengyu and the others to Subei. At night, Shang Junlin said while reading through the memorials, being transferred outside had always been the fastest way to increase one's qualifications. If one could make some achievements, they could be transferred back to the capital ahead of time and enter the center of power in Dahuan. Every official who passed the imperial examination had to go through this. According to the normal process, He Chengyu and the others needed to work in Hanlin Academy for 2 to 3 years, then be transferred outside, and then be transferred back to the capital step by step. Now, they had only worked in Hanlin Academy for less than half a year, and Shang Junlin wanted to send them to Subei. In fact, it was against the ancestral rules. However, in Shang Junlin's place, the ancestral rules were meant to be broken. Why does Your Majesty suddenly want them to go to Subei? When the disaster relief is over, I don't plan to keep any of these officials in Subei. If they still wanted to hide such a big incident, they shouldn't stay in that position. You, come over here and let me hug you. As soon as Shen Yu approached, the man pulled her into his arms. Shang Junlin buried his head in Shen Yu's neck and took a deep breath. Hug you and these things won't be so troublesome. Chapter 116. I'm not a panacea, how can I have such an effect? Shan Yu found a comfortable position in Shang Junlin's arms. A Yu is more effective than any panacea for Zhen. Shang Junlin buried his head in Shen Yu's neck, his voice slightly muffled. Then give His Majesty a hug, Shen Yu patted the man's head, so that His Majesty can deal with government affairs more energetically. Shang Junlin tightened his arms around the person in his arms. Were the officials in Subei sent by His Majesty later? Shan Yu looked at the booklet spread on the table. It was sent back by Fong Darren from Subei, and there were other officials beside him. Fong Darren brought officials from Jing City. Every time they arrived at a new place, they would be shocked speechless by the tragic situation there. They originally thought that the first small city they passed was already very bad, but the further north they went, the more they found that it was just the tip of the iceberg. The more they saw, the more shocking it became. Every time they arrived at a place, they would gather the people together after giving them porridge and do something that they could. When they recovered some of their strength, they would exchange it for more food according to how much they worked. They also had them help and relieve the local people who were unable to move. In the booklet written by Fong Darren, he described in detail the current situation of every place they passed. Just the written description was enough to make people feel despair. Some were directly promoted from the local area. Shang Junlin rubbed Shen Yu's fingers. Zhen almost completely changed the upper-level officials in Subei. The imperial court didn't have many people that could be used, so they only sent some people over. Most of them were promoted from the local area. That year when Subei was lost, if Shang Junlin didn't lead troops to arrive in time and fight back the Northern Desert Army, it was hard to say if De Huan would still be De Huan today. Shang Junlin didn't want to listen to their excuses, so he directly chopped them down to comfort the souls of the soldiers who had died because of their dereliction of duty, and also to avenge the innocent people who had died. On the day of the execution, the entire city watched, and all of them applauded and cheered. Amidst the smell of blood, Shang Junlin had all the officials in Subei watch the execution with their own eyes. Some of the officials had lived like princes for many years and had never seen such a scene before. Their faces were pale and they did not dare to watch. However, each of them was guarded by 2 burly soldiers. As long as they tried to dodge, they would be stopped. Shang Junlin was also using this opportunity to warn the newly promoted people that if they could not defend Subei well, they should go down and accompany these people. He also took this opportunity to completely separate the military and political power in Subei. Under the bloody means, no one dared to refute. Since then, Subei was peaceful for a long time. Shang Junlin and Shen Yu talked about the past. Zhen thought that they would learn to be obedient. Indeed, they did learn to be obedient. They didn't dare to do anything blatantly and only did some small actions in private. They also thought of ways to prevent the news from spreading to the capital. Shen Yu said, "The greed of people is always endless. After getting a little, they will want more. Over time, their greed will grow and they will never be satisfied." It has been 7 or 8 years since that incident. Time can wear away a lot of things, but it can also change a lot of things. The officials promoted by Your Majesty may be trustworthy, but after so many years, no one can guarantee that they will not change at all. Shang Junlin said, "People's hearts are fickle. Zhen knows that very well." Shen Yu said, "After the truth is found out, punish those who should be punished and reward those who have made contributions. After so many years, Your Majesty is no longer the same as before. There is no need to be constrained by a lack of manpower. In order to prevent this kind of thing from happening again, Your Majesty can set a time limit for appointment. After the officials sent to Subei have served for a certain number of years, Your Majesty can return to the capital." The officials in Subei were divided into 3 categories: the Subei Army, the officials transferred from the capital, and the local officials. It should have been a tripartite situation, but according to the news from the hidden dragon guards, the latter two had been mixed together. They had also planted people in the Subei army. Moreover, there was the shadow of another force among the three. If the time limit is set, the officials sent from the capital will be less likely to stand on the same side as the local officials. Compared to Subei, they should want to return to the capital, the center of power. Then, they will spontaneously watch over Subei for the court in order to make their resumes look better. Shan Yu lowered his eyes and continued, once the time limit is up, they will return to the capital. Everything that happens in Subei will only become a stepping stone for their promotion. As long as their interests were not tied together with the officials in Subei, there was no need to worry that they would work together and harm the court. Shang Junlin seriously thought about it and realized that this was indeed a good idea. The mobility of the officials in Dahuan was not high. Unless they were particularly capable or had connections in the court, most of them would be sent to a certain place and most of them would stay there. If it was not a special place like Subei, there were many benefits to this. The more familiar the officials were with a certain place, the easier it would be for them to manage it. However, the most important thing right now was the disaster in Subei. As long as the drought did not subside, they would not be able to relax. Official Fong and the hidden dragon guards were in the open and in the dark, trying to understand the situation in Subei. Official Fong continued to lead the officials north. The further north they went, the more serious the disaster became. The officials from the capital also became more silent. They had never seen such a hellish scene. In the past, they had at most learned about the disaster through various documents. How could words compare to the shock of seeing it with their own eyes? The more they saw, the more they disagreed with the inaction of the officials in Subei. This was especially so when they heard more than once from the locals that if the disaster relief team had come earlier, perhaps not so many people would have died. The resentment in their hearts reached a peak. There were so many people. They could have saved their lives if they were willing to give them a share of the Subei army's military pay. The young official who spoke was choked with sobs. No one made a sound. No one who saw this scene could make a sound. In a destitute and dilapidated house, the emaciated mother did not have a single piece of good flesh on her body. Her child was curled up in her arms, a piece of flesh still wet in his mouth. It was obvious that the mother had bitten off the flesh from her body. Even in death, the mother stared at her child with wide eyes. If only we had come earlier. If only we had come earlier, perhaps we could have saved this mother and child. The house was filled with a thick stench of blood. No one complained about the pungent smell. They only felt a stabbing pain in their hearts. Along the way, they had seen all kinds of tragic scenes. They had thought that after seeing so much, they would become numb. It was only at this moment that they realized that no matter how many times they saw the scene in front of them, they could not become numb. Official Fong, can we really save Subei? After a long time, a young official could not help but ask. His face was full of confusion. Of course we can, Lord Fong replied firmly. We've already saved many people along the way. The imperial court has also collected enough supplies. Everyone, hold on for a few more days. They'll be here soon. Lord Fong looked at everyone's faces one by one. He knew that what he had seen and heard in the past few days had a great impact on these young officials. He also knew why they were so confused. It was because he had experienced the same thing in the past. Everyone, cheer up. News has come from His Majesty. This time, there are people from all over the country who are willing to come and help. The Disaster Relief Fund is also donated by the people of Daheng. Subei will not be abandoned by anyone in Daheng, the main city of Subei. In the magnificent main hall, young women in thin dance dresses danced to the music. Men in luxurious clothes raised their cups in celebration. That Fong Jun, are we going to let him continue like this? Don't ruin official Fong's plan. If he wants to see the real disaster in Subei, then let him see. He volunteered to work with the refugees. If he is accidentally injured by the refugees, it has nothing to do with us. Official Sun, don't you think so? Sun Zhao calmly looked around and drank the wine in his cup. Of course. It's not that we haven't tried to persuade him, but he is stubborn. If something really happens, how can we be blamed? Exactly. Come, let's continue drinking. Sun Zhao finished feigning civility with them and returned to his residence. Although he was not the highest official in Subei, his status was not low. When he returned home, the housekeeper came to greet him. Official Fang, have you drunk? Yes. Official Fang invited me, so I couldn't refuse. There were many colleagues at the banquet and they even talked about the refugees. Since ancient times, the refugees have been a difficult problem to solve. The housekeeper's eyes flashed. Official Fang, you should wash up first. I will order a bowl of hangover soup for you. Official Fang rubbed his forehead. I am a little dizzy. Help me in. In the darkness, a black robe silently streaked across the night sky. In an inconspicuous corner, a middle-aged man in a grey robe turned out of the courtyard and walked all the way to the corner of the street. There was an inconspicuous horse carriage parked there. Did you find anything? An emotionless voice came from the horse carriage. Official Fang, everything is as usual. There are no suspicious people in the residence. The man in the grey robe replied carefully. Sun residence. Sun Zhao rubbed his aching temples. He purposely said those words to the housekeeper in the courtyard just now so that he could pass the news to the hidden dragon guards hiding in the Sun residence. The housekeeper was also a member of the hidden dragon guards in disguise. However, there were other spies in the residence. The person in charge of passing the news was someone else. The capital. The resources collected from various places were transported to Subei. The capital was the first to receive the news and also the first to take action. The other places that were slightly further away would set off later. Other than the doctors, some young adults were also summoned from various places. The scorching summer was coming to an end. After a rain in the capital, the weather had cooled down significantly. Is it still not raining in Subei? Shen Yu looked out the window at the pitter-patter of raindrops. No. Shang Junlin frowned. Although it rarely rains in Subei, it is rare for there to be no rain for several months like this year. There was already a discussion among the commoners about why there was no rain in Subei for several months. Droughts were often accompanied by locust plagues. Subei had already suffered a locust plague in May or June. Otherwise, there would not have been no harvest. If there is no rain for a long time, I am afraid there will be bad rumors. Shan Yu's words became a prophecy. Within a few days, rumors began to appear in various places. It was said that the drought in Subei was a warning to the emperor not to do anything unkind and not to break the ancestral rules. It was obvious that every rumor was directed at Shang Junlin's actions during this period. Chapter 117. These rumors were just short of pointing at Shang Junlin's nose and saying, if it weren't for you, there wouldn't be a drought in Subei, and it's all your fault. The rumors were discovered very early, but they didn't reach the climax. It was funny that they were discovered so quickly, but it was all thanks to the people of various places. Didn't you mention before that we can set up a suggestion box in each government office? If the people have any opinions, they can write in anonymously. In the past 2 days, many government offices have seen letters mentioning this matter in the suggestion box. They didn't dare delay and immediately sorted out the letters and handed them in. Not only are there letters from the capital, but there are also letters from other places. Shang Junlin didn't look angry when he spoke of this matter. This kind of thing was normal for the emperor. No matter what kind of natural disaster or man-made disaster, there would always be some people who liked to put the blame on the person in power. Not to mention other things, the previous emperor of Dahuan had encountered this kind of thing. These people think that by putting the blame on His Majesty, they can achieve their goal. Shan Yu smoothly poured tea for the two of them and pushed one of the cups in front of Shang Junlin. No matter what their goal is, it's destined to be in vain. Although Shan Yu had expected such a thing to happen, he still felt angry that it had really happened. Shang Junlin had done his best to work for De Huan, and after finding out about the situation in Subei, he had also done his best to resolve this matter. In the end, all of this had become evidence to destroy him. Don't frown because of this. Shang Junlin reached out and touched Shen Yu's cheek. It's not a big deal. With the used precautions in advance, they can't make any waves. Didn't the people tell us when there were just rumors? Even so, I still don't want to hear them speak ill of His Majesty. Since he had guessed what those people would do, Shen Yu certainly wouldn't sit still and wait for death. Whether it was the suggestion box, the newspapers that were targeted at all the people, or the special channels that passed information to the capital, they were all in order to deal with this matter. The commoners were the easiest to incite. If those people wanted to incite the commoners to be dissatisfied with Shang Junlin, they would definitely find people to spread rumors among the commoners. They would deliberately distort the facts and exaggerate a certain part of the matter to incite the anger of the commoners. Then, they would further discredit the commoners. This kind of thing had happened more than once or twice. Shan Yu had listed a few cases, summarized the routine, and then resolved them one by one. In fact, it was very easy. The other party was able to succeed one after another because of the lack of information. The commoners did not know much about the imperial court, and even less about Shang Junlin. All their impressions were obtained from the mouths of others. Whether it was good or bad depended on the speaker. Shan Yu directly told them what the imperial court had done, what the emperor had done, and why he had done these things. Compared to hearing it from unknown people, the commoners clearly believed the information given by the imperial court more. After all, the precedent of Subei was here. The daily situation in Subei was known to them from the imperial court. This eliminated the possibility of a middleman relaying information that might cause a difference in information. The imperial court directly passed down the information, which was more objective and direct. In addition, Shan Yu had written some conspiracies about the protagonist in Return to Spring. After the people finished reading it, they would unconsciously remember these. When they encountered similar things, they could not help but think, is this a conspiracy like in the drama? In short, with the support of various reasons, the situation not only did not develop as the people behind the scenes wanted, but it was also reported to the imperial court by the commoners who heard it. In the tea house. It rained in the capital last night. I don't know how the situation in Subei is like. The news that came back 2 days ago was that it hasn't rained there yet. However, the supplies we collected are almost here. I hope they can be put to use soon. Don't you think it's strange? It's raining everywhere, so why isn't it raining in Subei? An unfamiliar man in gray suddenly spoke up. The people who were talking suddenly fell silent. After a while, someone smiled and poured a cup of tea for himself. What's so strange about it? It rained in the capital last night, but that doesn't mean it rained everywhere in the Great Huan. That's right. It's normal for the weather to be different from place to place. Sometimes, half of the capital is raining and the other half is sunny. Let's not talk too far. Just last night, it didn't rain everywhere. That's right. It didn't rain in my house. Today, I heard from you that it rained in many places. The gray-clothed man was deflated. He wanted to say something else, but the people around him had already started talking about other topics. They looked at him as if he was an uncultured man. He almost fainted in anger. That's right. Have you heard? The imperial court is preparing to open a new school in the capital. At that time, not only will they accept male students, but they will also accept female students. It's said that there will be a lot of things to teach. It won't be restricted to the imperial examinations. You can also pass the examination and directly enter the Ministry of Works and other departments. My son won't study no matter what. I originally didn't have much hope. If he can learn something else and enter the imperial court, it'll be better than working in the fields like me for the rest of his life. Where did you hear this from? Is it reliable? The People's Report, but it only mentioned a little. The imperial court is probably busy with the matters in Subei, so they won't have the energy to do this for the time being. If they can accept women, then can I also send my daughter there? No, don't you think it's against common sense for women to be officials? The gray-clothed man listened to them talk for a long time, and even began to excitedly imagine sending his daughter into the school. He couldn't help but speak up. I say, why are you so strange? Why do you think that women can't be officials? Didn't Zhao Nyang in the play become an official in the end? It's much better than that man who is a corrupt official. You said it yourself, that's in the play. So what? I'm just fantasizing about my daughter becoming an official. If you don't like it, then don't listen. I've seen his daughter before. She's smart and quick-witted, just like Zhao Nyang. She'll definitely be a good official in the future. Everyone chatted together for fun. The middle-aged man was an honest man, and he only had one daughter in his family. She was smart and likable, so everyone was happy to support him. In fact, they were just joking. No one would take their half-joking words to heart. Unfortunately, the gray-clothed man didn't know that. He thought that they were sincerely accepting women as officials, so he swallowed his unfinished words. He originally wanted to say that it was against the heavens for women to be officials, and that this might be the reason for the drought in Subei. But now he didn't dare to say it. Right, the donation you mentioned, shouldn't the disaster relief be the imperial court's matter? Why do you have to do it? As a citizen of Dahuan, we'll do what we can. We can't always rely on the imperial court for everything. It's not like the imperial court didn't do anything. The gray-clothed man swallowed his words again. He really didn't understand. Why did these people always side with the imperial court? It was as if they had suddenly become smart. They weren't so hard to fool before. The atmosphere in the tea house was still lively. The storyteller was telling a story based on the news from Subei. Everyone was paying attention to Subei's situation, so they loved to hear stories like this. The gray-clothed man observed for a while longer. After confirming that there was no chance to make a move, he left the tea house with his tail between his legs. After he left, the two men sitting not far away looked at each other and followed him. In the small alley, the gray-clothed man walked quickly with his head down. He had to report the news quickly. They seemed to have been deceived. Their original plan didn't work at all. Suddenly, the gray-clothed man stopped. Two men wearing similar clothes blocked his path. Sir, may I know your name? Can you come with us? Who are you? The gray-clothed man stared at them warily. You'll know our identities when you come with us. The gray-clothed man realized that something was wrong and turned to flee. The two men had been guarding him for several days. How could they let him leave just like that? They raised their feet and chased after him. The gray-clothed man only knew a few simple moves. How could he compare to the two well-trained men? Not long after, his path was blocked again. This time, the two men didn't say much and tied him up. We've caught another little mouse. The gray-clothed man was shocked. Judging from the familiarity of the two men's movements, it was clearly not their first time doing this. No wonder they had sent so many people but had no effect at all. The imperial court had been prepared for this. Unfortunately, he found out too late and didn't have the chance to report to his master. Even now, he still held on to a glimmer of hope. Have you found the wrong person? I don't know you. I really don't know you. Why have you caught me? We don't need to know you. We only need to know what you've done. The gray-clothed man's heart sank. He wanted to say something, but his mouth was blocked by the impatient man beside him. He clapped his hands and said, "Why waste words with this person? Someone will interrogate him when we get there. Now we have peace." The two men brought the tied-up gray-clothed man back to the Supreme Court. "You've caught another one?" "Yes, we've caught quite a few recently. I don't know if you've found out anything." Along the way, the gray-clothed man listened to the conversation between the two men and his colleagues. His face was ashen. Their plan this time might become a complete joke. But he didn't know that things were far from over. Yuzhong Palace. Shan Yu sat by the window and slowly poured a cup of tea for himself. Mushi, What's the situation outside the palace? Young master's guess is right. Those people are hiding in restaurants, tea houses, and other places with a lot of people. They want to take the opportunity to incite the people. After our men saw through them a few times, the others also realized that they weren't fooled. Instead, they blocked those people and made them speechless. The Supreme Court has already arrested many people. I was wondering why the people suddenly spoke in unison. It turns out that a Yu sent people to guide them. Shang Junlin walked in from outside. Eunuch Meng followed behind him with a memorial. It can be so effective because your majesty is wholeheartedly serving the people. After your majesty ascended the throne, the lives of the people have been getting better and better. They know this in their hearts. If it weren't for the fact that he had made great achievements, how could he convince the people with just a few words? In a Yu's heart, am I so good? Shang Junlin walked over. Shen Yu wore a light blue wide-sleeved robe today. His snow-white wrist stretched out from the wide sleeves. He was fiddling with the tea set in a relaxed and elegant manner. Shang Junlin held Shen Yu's wrist and gently rubbed it. The young man's skin was white and tender, like the best white jade. It was very admirable. Your Majesty is naturally the best in my heart. Shen Yu picked up the brewed tea with his other hand and fed it to Shang Junlin. This cup is to reward your Majesty. Chapter 118. Shang Junlin lowered his head and took a sip from Shen Yu's hand. He slowly savored the taste and said, "The tea this time seems to be different from the last time. You learned a new technique from the book. How is it compared to the last time?" The palace had a rich collection of books and Shang Junlin did not guard against him. At first, Shan Yu was reserved and did not pay attention to the books that were not sensitive to him. Later on, he became closer to Shang Junlin and no longer restrained himself. He would read the books that he was interested in. No matter what technique a Yu uses, the tea is still delicious to me. Before Shan Yu entered the palace, Shang Junlin only knew a little about tea. He was not passionate about it. Later on, Shan Yu would occasionally brew tea for him and tell him about the tea ceremony. This made him more fond of tea. Rather than saying that he liked tea, it was more like he liked the feeling of drinking tea with Shen Yu. Shang Junlin drank the entire cup of tea with Shen Yu's hand. Then, he took the empty cup from Shan Yu's hand and put it on the small table at the side. How many people have they arrested now? Did they find out anything? One of Shen Yu's hands was still held by Shang Junlin. The two of them sat on the soft couch. According to a Yu's method, I asked them to pay more attention to the places where people gather. If they find something wrong, they will check and confirm that there is no mistake before arresting them. Not only in the capital, but also in other places. The order was sent to the place along with the news. It was sent through another special channel. The arrests were also carried out secretly. The people behind the scenes did not know that the people they sent out to spread the rumors were all in jail. We have also received news of the interrogation. Most of the people we captured were just following orders from the higher-ups. We were unable to get much useful information out of them. However, according to the clues we obtained from them, we found out a few of their hiding spots. I have asked the hidden dragon guards to investigate their backgrounds. They didn't take action as soon as they found out because they didn't want to alert the enemy. These people had been hiding in the Great Huan land for many years. Now that they were finally discovered, of course they had to follow the clues and get rid of them all in one go. Regarding these matters, Shan Yu had always only given suggestions and never really intervened. It was not because he was afraid of Shang Junlin, but because he simply didn't want to. Your Majesty, do you still remember the flower that Prince An sent over? I always felt that there was something wrong with that flower, but I couldn't find anything wrong with it. The vassal king sent a lot of things. Most of them were gold, silver and jewels. Only the An Wang sent a strange flower for no apparent reason. Shang Junlin also knew about the existence of this flower. Shan Yu had told him about it before. Did the people from the Imperial Institute of Medicine come to take a look? He was worried that this flower would affect Shen Yu, so he put the flower alone in a corner and didn't ask anyone to take care of it. As a result, after a period of time, the flower didn't wither because of lack of care. Instead, it bloomed more beautifully. Yes, Imperial Physician Gu said that this flower was similar to the ones that appeared in the ancient books. However, there were some differences when you looked at it carefully. The other Imperial physicians also came to take a look. The attendants in charge of taking care of the flowers in the palace also took a look. Other than being sure that it wasn't poisonous, they couldn't tell what kind of flower it was. Shen Yu felt that it was very strange. Your Majesty, why do you think Prince An sent this flower over for no reason? If a Yu doesn't like it, just ask someone to throw it away. Shang Junlin stroked his hair that was hanging down behind his back. What kind of flower does a Yu want? I'll find it and send it over. Just leave it there for now. This flower always gives me a very strange feeling. Prince An shouldn't be so stupid as to give the Imperial Palace something that can be used against him. I'll listen to a Yu. However, a Yu shouldn't get close to the flower. Just ask someone to take care of it. I'll find someone who knows about flowers and plants to take a look. After confirming that there's no problem with the flower, a Yu can go take a look if she wants to. Shen Yu also had the same plan. She nodded in the man's arms. Shang Junlin brought up another matter. The first batch of goods from the capital to Subei will probably arrive today. It's finally here. Looking at Fong Darren's memorial, the officials he brought over are almost at their limits. Shan Yu had personally witnessed the aftermath of a natural disaster in her previous life. She knew what kind of hell it was. No matter how good one's endurance was, they wouldn't be able to endure it for a few more days. Fong Jun wants to bring those people back. Shang Junlin stroked the strand of hair in his hand. Especially two of the younger ones. Their condition isn't very good. When I mentioned it to them, they weren't willing to come back. Among those two, one of them had once wanted to give the youth food. In just a few days, his understanding of the past few years had almost changed. After knowing that the imperial court had sent many people in addition to the goods, Fong Jun called the officials who had followed him for a period of time together and asked, "Do any of you want to go back?" "Darren, why are you suddenly asking this? There are still so many places in Subei that we haven't visited yet. How can we go back?" One of them answered without hesitation. "Yes, we have to finish what we started. Since we're here, we naturally have to finish what we started before we leave." In fact, at the beginning, a few of the officials were very uncomfortable. They were the children of aristocratic families and had never experienced such hardships since they were young. They had grown up in luxury and didn't know that the lives of the common people would be so difficult. They didn't deny that they had thoughts of retreating, but these thoughts were obliterated by one incident after another. On the contrary, an indescribable ambition grew in their hearts. The confusion of their previous life as officials was swept away, and the conviction in their hearts was strengthened. Hadn't they originally wanted to be good officials to benefit the common people? If they hadn't come out on this trip, if they hadn't seen these hellish scenes and shocking scenes, perhaps they would have spent the rest of their lives in confusion. But now, they wouldn't. After experiencing this incident, they knew what kind of burden they were shouldering. As officials, they shouldn't look at power, but the responsibility behind the scenes. The Imperial Court's reinforcements will arrive soon. If any of you want to rest, you can return to the capital with them first, Lord Fong said as he looked at the officials whose spirits had greatly changed. The crowd fell silent. Did they want to go back? Of course they did. Compared to the capital, the environment here was truly too harsh and vile. If Lord Fong had asked this question a few days ago, perhaps some of them would have wavered. But now, after experiencing so much, they asked themselves, were they willing to go back like this? They still hadn't seen the leg of the old man next door get better, they still hadn't seen the birth of their wife's child, they still hadn't seen. There were still too many things that they had yet to see. If they went back like this, how could they be at ease? "I won't go. I won't leave until I'm certain that the disaster in Subei is alleviated." After the first person spoke, a second, a third, all of them spoke. Without exception, The answer they gave was that they weren't willing to leave. Lord Fong had expected this. He had seen the changes in these people with his own eyes. It could be said that he had personally witnessed the changes in these people. Several of the muddle-headed scions of aristocratic families in the capital had undergone massive changes at a speed visible to the naked eye. Lord Fong was happy for them, but at the same time, his heart ached for them. This was because these changes meant that they had experienced immense pain in their hearts. The scions of aristocratic families who had grumbled when they first arrived would no longer complain no matter how hard or tiring the work was. There were also faint calluses on their hands. Lord Fong scanned these people's faces one by one. Their expressions were resolute and their eyes showed that they weren't willing to back down. He slowly retracted his gaze and unconsciously said in a gentle voice, "Don't be in a hurry to answer. You have one night to consider. I have already told His Majesty about your achievements. When you return to the capital, these will not be affected because of your early departure." The next day, everyone's answer remained the same. They were all willing to stay here until the day they saw Subei get better with their own eyes. Lord Fong didn't say anything else. He just objectively wrote down this matter on a memorial and had the hidden dragon guards send it back to the capital. Shan Yu found the memorials that were sent from the northern Su province. Just like before, Master Fong wrote 2 memorials. One was sent back to the capital through the hidden dragon guards while the other was sent back through official channels. The latter was usually a few days slower than the former. Shan Yu opened the memorial and read through it. It seems that Lord Fong has a good opinion of these officials who followed him. Half of the officials who went to the disaster relief were from the lesser aristocratic families. Lord Fong was the leader. At the beginning, there was some friction between the 2 parties. Now, both parties were able to put aside their differences and work together harmoniously. Compared to when they left the capital, both parties had changed a lot. Those who followed Lord Fong to Subei were mainly young officials. If there were no accidents, these people would become the pillars of the imperial court in the future. This experience was extremely beneficial to both them and the imperial court. Because the news from the imperial court was that the people from the imperial court would directly meet with them, Lord Fong brought his people and stayed in the small city to rest and wait for them to arrive. Their resources were almost depleted. Every time they arrived at a place, they had to leave behind a portion. Most of the resources they brought were left in the main city. If there were no more resources along the way, they could only return to the main city first. The imperial court had sent an army to escort the resources. On the way, the officials in the main city had also received the news. "Lord, if we don't act now, when the people from the imperial court arrive, it will be too late." In the dim study, the person who spoke was hidden in the shadows, his voice hoarse. "Go arrange it. Do it cleanly. Don't let anyone discover that something is wrong. Lord, don't worry. This lowly one is very good at this. There definitely won't be any mistakes." The door to the study was opened and closed. The wind blew the candlelight, as if nothing had happened. Lord Fong's group had been on the move for many days and finally had a moment to rest. They took the officials who had come with them to look around. This small city was a bit further north than the first one they had gone to, and the disaster was more serious. However, they had already given out porridge for several days, and the disaster relief work had been carried out smoothly. The situation was much better than when they had first arrived. As they walked, the disaster victims put down what they were doing and greeted them. The officials smiled in response. Occasionally, they would stop and talk to the people on the side of the road. "I suddenly feel that these days are not bad." The official behind Lord Fong sighed. "That's right. In the past, when we were in the capital, we felt that we were very powerful and amazing. Only after coming here did we realize how shallow we were in the past." The officials whispered to each other. The atmosphere was relaxed and lively. The gap between the humble officials and the aristocratic officials had completely disappeared here. Lord Fong listened to their conversation with a hint of a smile in his eyes. Suddenly, the crowd in front of them surged in their direction. The youth beside Lord Fong grabbed him and shielded him behind him. "Lord, be careful. Chapter 119. Just as the youth finished speaking, the refugees in front of them suddenly charged at them with a clear target. Protect Darren. The officials stared at this scene with their mouths agape, unable to figure out what had happened. The guards surrounded them in the middle, but the other side had more people and they had fewer people. Although they looked like refugees, they were very skilled and their target was clear. They went straight for Darren Fong, who was surrounded by the crowd. The youth was like a wolf cub, standing in front of Darren Fong to prevent anyone from getting close. The attack happened in an instant, and the people around them didn't even have time to react. Facing the surging killing intent, Darren Fong was very calm. He could see that these people's true target was him. He calmly said, "Protect them, don't worry about me." Saying this, he wanted to separate from the crowd. He could guess that these people were sent by some officials in Subei main city. They probably felt that his arrival had ruined their plans and wanted to eliminate him. Although the officials following Darren Fong were frightened, they had experienced some things in the past few days and weren't as rash as they were at the beginning. They surrounded Darren Fong, unwilling to leave. Through this period of time, they knew very well how much Darren Fong had done. Any one of them could be injured or even killed, but Darren Fong couldn't. They wouldn't watch Darren Fong get hurt in front of them. The refugees didn't care about the officials in front of them. Even though they had some training, these people's strength couldn't compare to the people who came with a purpose. Soon, they were thrown to the side. Soon, someone broke through the crowd and came in front of Darren Fong. He picked up something in his hand and stabbed at Darren Fong. Midway, he was stopped by a pair of scarred hands. It was the youth who had been following Darren Fong. The youth had brute strength. For a moment, the people couldn't do anything to him. The person saw that there wasn't much time left and ruthlessly stabbed at the youth. Careful! The youth leaned to the side and barely dodged, but a wound still appeared on his waist. Blood instantly dyed the clothes on his waist red. Lord Fong frowned. Over the years, he had learned some martial arts and was barely able to deal with the people in front of him. However, he did not dare to delay. He was afraid that these people would ignore everything and hurt the other officials and the surrounding people. There were many busy commoners on this road. After Lord Fong came, he found some work for them so that they could eat their fill. They were also willing to do something for their hometown. Just now, they didn't react. Now that they saw that the group of unidentified people wanted to attack the officials who brought them food, they were instantly displeased. "What are you doing? Where are you from? If you dare to harm my lord, you'll have to ask for our permission first." Everyone took their tools and surrounded him. The group of refugees didn't expect more and more people to surround them. They even deliberately chose a place with fewer people to attack. Who would have thought that Lord Fong just happened to send a lot of people here to do things? After experiencing drought, locusts, and famine, the people were sincerely grateful to Lord Fong who had brought them food. Lord Fong's arrival told them that they had not been abandoned by the court. Lord Fong had brought them food and hope. They would not allow anyone to try to harm these officials who had helped them. With the addition of the commoners, the situation was reversed. The refugees were surrounded by the commoners. In order to disguise themselves more, they didn't bring too many weapons that didn't fit their identity as refugees. Their numbers were also smaller than the commoners who surrounded them. Lord Fong and the other officials, don't be afraid. With us here, we won't let these refugees who came from nowhere hurt you. The men from the north were all tall and strong. After Lord Fong came, they were able to eat their fill. They weren't at a disadvantage against these refugees. The officials helped each other up. When they saw the aggressive commoners surrounding the refugees, they felt as if their roles had been reversed. Why did these commoners look even fiercer than the people who had attacked them? The commoners didn't care. They weren't afraid of getting hurt. They broke through the encirclement of the refugees and protected Lord Fong and the others. The commoners who came from behind gradually formed a circle and surrounded the refugees in the middle. In the stalemate, the sound of horse hooves gradually approached. Lord Fong looked in the direction of the sound. A well-trained soldier wearing armor quickly walked over. "What happened?" The commoners looked at these people warily. The leader looked at them one by one. When he saw Lord Fong in the middle of the crowd, he clasped his hands and said, "Lord Fong, your subordinate Yang Ziyuan is here to deliver supplies. General Yang, please capture these people dressed as refugees." Lord Fong remembered that the general sent by the imperial court to deliver the supplies was surnamed Yang. The refugees saw that the situation was hopeless and rose up to attack. The commoners who surrounded them were caught off guard and were almost injured. General Yang's men acted in time and didn't cause more casualties. General Yang's army was well disciplined and equipped with elite weapons. They quickly captured all the refugees. Today, I thank all of you for saving my life. Let me thank all of you in advance. No need, no need. The burly man at the front waved his hand. If it wasn't for Lord Fong, we wouldn't be here today. No matter what, we can't let Lord Fong be harmed by these bandits. The others nodded. Seeing this scene, the eyes of the young officials behind Lord Fong couldn't help but turn red. In truth, they had never thought that they would receive anything in return for the things they had done. But today, they were protected by these people who had helped them without fear of death. They were moved beyond words. At this moment, they made a decision in their hearts. In the future, they must become good officials who can benefit the commoners. General Yang followed the large group from the capital and walked a little slower. Lord Fong looked in the direction they came from and could faintly see the shadows of the carriages. "We noticed that there was movement here, so we came to take a look first." General Yang explained. "Since we met, let's go together." Lord Fong looked at the young man beside him who didn't seem to care about his injuries and asked, "General, do you have medicine with you?" "My god was injured in order to protect me." General Yang took out a bottle of medicine and handed it to Lord Fong. "There are a few imperial physicians with us. When they arrive, they can take a look at this young friend." "Thank you." Some of the commoners were also lightly injured. Lord Fong found a place to rest nearby and put the injured people together to wait for the large group to arrive. Not long after, the large group arrived. General Yang went up to say a few words and came back with two people dressed as doctors. "Dr. Wu." Lord Fong was surprised when he saw who it was. Lord Fong. After the two exchanged greetings, Lord Fong and his disciples came forward to check the injuries of the injured people. Fortunately, no one was seriously injured. The young man's wound was carefully bandaged. Dr. Wu also treated the wounds of the other injured people. A tall man said casually, "It's really nothing. When the North was in chaos, we often had to fight with the people of the Northern Desert. This kind of injury happened every few days. There's no need to care at all. It will heal on its own in 2 or 3 days. Will the people of the Northern Desert still come here?" An official couldn't help but ask. Yes, before the Northern Desert was defeated by His Majesty, this place was in chaos. The slightest carelessness could cause death. These men of the Northern Desert grew up fighting with the people of the Northern Desert. They were ferocious in their bones, so when they saw someone disguised as a refugee attacking Lord Fong and his group, they dared to surround them. This kind of situation was a common occurrence in the Northern Desert a few years ago. After a simple rest, the group headed to their destination. On the way, Lord Fong learned a lot of news from General Yang. Lord Fong looked at the carriages behind him. "Aren't these things sent to the main city?" "His Majesty said to let you handle it. Since the officials in the main city don't need help, we don't need to worry about them. His Majesty also told me to pass on a message to you. It's time to act." This sentence was a signal. Before Lord Fong came, Shang Junlin had privately summoned him and told him that the journey to the Northern Desert was dangerous. He also gave him an item and told him to wait for orders from the capital. Now, General Yang was telling him that it was time to act. General Yang and his group settled down with a large number of supplies. Lord Fong gathered the low-level officials and announced, "I'm going back to the main city. I'll leave this place to you." After handing over the matters here, Lord Fong mounted his horse and walked for a while. Suddenly, he stopped and said to the empty space behind him, Didn't I tell you to wait for me here? The young man walked out from the corner. What happened in the northern desert was passed on to Shang Junlin through the hidden dragon guards. Shen Yu also knew about it. Lord Feng saved a young man in the northern desert, and he's being blamed? Feng Jun wants to send the young man back to the capital first. What he's going to do is too dangerous. It's not suitable for the young man to follow him. Therefore, when the carriages returned from the disaster relief in the northern desert, they also gave a young man as a gift. Shan Yu was curious about the young man who saved Lord Feng and wanted to meet him. Feng Jun asked me to take care of him. Let's meet him first. It was not appropriate to directly summon him into the palace. Shan Yu and Shang Junlin changed into casual clothes and left the palace. Shan Yu wanted to talk to Yen Zheng about the next cooperation. Shang Junlin had a lot of houses outside the palace. Some of them were where he lived before he ascended the throne. This time, he chose to meet the young man at a place where he lived for a short period of time before he ascended the throne. Shang Junlin led Shen Yu inside. At that time, I had just returned from the border and was not liked by the previous emperor. There was nothing in the palace. Therefore, Feng Jun found a house for me. Shen Yu looked around. The house was not big, but the environment was very quiet. It could be seen that some places were old, but they were still carefully maintained. It was obvious that the owner cared about this place. Your Majesty has never brought me here before, Shan Yu said as he looked around. I have a lot of houses in various places. If there is a chance in the future, I will bring you to live there. However, most of them are at the border. I don't know if you can get used to the environment there. Shang Junlin held Shan Yu's hand, his eyes filled with tenderness. If your Majesty can live there, then I can naturally live there. Shen Yu smiled and looked at him. I don't know how delicate I am in your Majesty's eyes. In my eyes, a you deserves the best. Shang Junlin had been at the border for a long time. He was very clear about the environment there. He could bring a you to live there temporarily, but he was not willing to let a you live there for a long time. Turning around the corner, Shan Yu saw the young man standing in the courtyard. The young man heard the sound and turned around. His face was blank for a moment. Have I seen you before? You're tuning in to the Narrate and Escape YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.